If you get the Baron, or if they don't get the Baron rather, it's fine.
Well, that's a huge kick out as they try to get the coordination. Ruler survives for so long, but not long enough. Canyon secures it in the end. Life as well, he's burning down. The flash forward from Khan is now BDD, looking for the execution, but he's not going to find it. He goes golden, but that just buys some time. The two-man Nah and ㅣ2021 have had enough of this game.
What's up, everyone? I'm Captain Flowers, and I want to welcome you back to the Outplay-by-Play. Last episode, we broke down Super Carry ㅅ's clinical performance that gave FPX the edge over Suning. This time around, we're headed over to the LCK for a matchup between a surging ㅅ and a free-falling Gen.G as they battle it out in the most epic of matches. Let's take a deep dive into the action and see how DK's big brain macro play ended in a 48-minute catastrophe for Gen.G. To kick things off, ㅅ dominated the early game with a leashless Canyon pathing down bot for a tower dive, putting Ruler and Life on the back foot, then following up with the Infernal Drake just shortly after. Minutes later, Gen.G responds with a kill of their own, as Rascal was doing Viego things for the solo kill onto Khan, while his team secures the Ocean Drake. But up to this point, ㅅ are still very much in the driver's seat and controlling the entire map, with Gen.G reacting at every turn. What's important to note here is the terror and threat that LeBlanc and Lee Sin pose as the game drags on. Despite Gen.G having agency in all of their lanes except mid, the combo of mobility, kill threat, and damage between Canyon and Showmaker will prove to be a problem in the later stages. Come the mid-game, ㅅ continued their momentum, chipping away at the map bit by bit. After Gen.G secured the Mountain Drake, it was ㅅ's relentless pressure to dictate and control the pace of the game that shined. With an angry Shelly charging down the bot lane, they found a pick onto Clid and secured both Tier 2 and 3 turrets, as well as the inhibitor for a 6,000 gold lead. A lead that didn't exactly hold for long. After some sloppy play around Baron from ㅅ, Gen.G found their window of opportunity in a team fight, securing a triple kill onto Rascal, who accounted for every single one of his team's kills. But Showmaker, who had just been quietly going along with his business up until now, decided he wanted to have some fun too. After spotting a juicy Ruler in the mid lane, the superstar instantly deletes the Gen.G carry using a combo of distortion to close the distance, then double Qs and a flash forward into ethereal chains and electrocute to get on the board. 30 minutes in, ㅅ have destroyed 7 turrets to just the 2 from Gen.G, restoring their gold lead to just under 6,000. But once again, it would be short-lived. With both Dragon and Baron in play, both teams swap objectives, and after Gen.G secured the Drake, it was yet another botched play from ㅅ, who are really just making their own lives difficult at this point. After ㅅ secure Baron once again, it's Gen.G who come out on top of the team fight as they make it a 4-for-2, picking off Canyon, Khan, Barrel, and then Ghost, who actually trades a kill of his own in an impressive 2v1. And for ㅅ, things only got worse as Gen.G really began to close the gap. With Mountain Soul around the corner, both teams began to set up around the Dragon Pit. And right off the bat, it all looks good for ㅅ, with Khan finding a 3-man Mega Gnar into the wall. But with his team too far away, it all came crumbling down, as Gen.G turns the tide to make it a 2-for-1 and go on to secure the Mountain Soul. As the game went on, both teams played on a knife's edge, with ㅅ catching 3 members of Gen.G out to secure yet another turret and inhibitor, as well as Baron to put the pressure on. But 41 minutes in, with Elder Drake spawning, it's Showmaker who gets caught with his pants down and is deleted by Ruler, who flashes forward with the piercing arrow, giving Gen.G the advantage to take Elder. However, pay attention to the decision making from ㅅ. After realizing that they can't contest the objective without Showmaker, they make a call for a backdoor, with super minions pushing down the mid lane. Watch as Ghost and Khan split off into mid, while Canyon and Barrel stick around to stall and delay. Gen.G actually spot this, and Rascal teleports back into the base for a defense, but is crippled against a full build Ashe and beefy Gnar acting as the meat shield. As Gen.G continue to chunk down the Elder Drake, ㅅ are in a race against the clock, with Canyon and Barrel working to cancel as many recalls as possible, while Ghost and Khan rip through the enemy base. What happens here really is the downfall of Gen.G's base. Take a look at BDD, who attempts to teleport back, but into a low HP turret that's about to come crashing down. Because the turret is destroyed, his TP is cancelled, allowing Beryl to move forward and stall for even longer. Because of this, Ghost and Khan are able to destroy both Nexus turrets and nearly end the game, needing just a few more autos, but are ultimately stopped in their tracks with reinforcements finally arriving. And so, with Gen G's base in shambles and an open Nexus available to Damwon, they begin to set up for one of the most beautiful of plays to finally put the nail in the coffin. 45 minutes in, with Baron respawning, Damwon are in a position of strength, but know that if they lose Baron, the game could go either way. Take a look at the map. Khan and Showmaker are both split pushing bot. Meanwhile, Canyon, Ghost, and Beryl are all moving towards that next crucial objective. Now, look at Gen G's positioning. Because they have an open base, 4 members are grouped up mid, ready to contest the Baron. But Rascal is stuck in the base playing goalie to prevent any chance of a backdoor, with Khan constantly shoving in the bottom lane wave. But what happens next is one of the most big brain macro plays you'll ever see. As Khan and Showmaker begin shoving in the lane, watch as they both pop Sweeper to scan the area for any wards, then just barely sneak into the brush without any members of Gen G realizing. Now, take a look at Gen G's vision around the Baron pit. With just a far sight trinket in the pit, they can't see a single thing, and Damwon have already started chunking down the Baron. As Clid walks up, he places a control ward into the pit and now realizes what's going on, prompting Rascal to rotate over. At the same time though, watch Showmaker and Khan, who have now made their positions known and are threatening a backdoor, forcing Gen G to react and retreat to defend. What's amazing here is, in the midst of this back and forth, Damwon are actually able to aggro the Baron the entire time, as they play this game of chicken between Baron and the backdoor. As it continues, take a look at Canyon and Ghost, who press forward and away from the Baron to signal they called it off. Gen G took the bait, thinking that Damwon really did call this one off, but Beryl stuck around the whole time. Then, as Gen G move away from the pit, Damwon re-engage onto Baron, and once again, Gen G are forced to contest, but now it's too late. Watch Canyon, who ward hops over the wall to kick Clid away and prevent the smite fight, then uses Sonic Wave to jump back into the pit himself and secure the objective. Beryl dies in the process, but with Ghost and Canyon escaping, this was a win for the side of Damwon. Meanwhile, Showmaker and Khan, who had been threatening a backdoor, were actually able to bait Rascal and BDD back for a base defense, then into a game of cat and mouse that ended in Showmaker, well, doing some Showmaker things.
All they need to do, and the heist will be successful. The chains connect as Rascal is taken down by Showmaker. It's 1,000 gold, but who cares about the gold?
With that pick, Gen G had lost their most valuable player on the team, and a primary source of damage for what will feel like the next century. And just like that, Damwon are able to reset with 4 players alive before strutting down mid with a Baron-empowered minion wave to end the game. As Damwon approach the base, take a look at Canyon, who lands Sonic Wave onto Clid for the engage, then flashes behind Ruler for the most disgusting kick. Ruler actually flashes away and is able to evade the oncoming Ash arrow, but walks right back into the claws of Canyon, who says not today. With both Rascal and Ruler now dead, Gen G are at the mercy of a surging Damwon, who are out for blood. From here, it really is just a walk in the park, as Canyon, Khan, and Showmaker make quick work of Life, who flashes away for a brief moment before getting deleted. Then, Clid and BDD, who are just running into a dead end at this point, meet their deaths as well after a flurry of Zonias and GAs get popped. Rascal, who finally respawns, actually dives in to greet the Damwon cavalry with a valiant effort to defend, but meets only his own death as well, with Damwon sending him back to the Shadow Realm and Gen G from 1st to 5th place for an end to a truly chaotic game. I'm Captain Flowers, and that is it for this week's episode of the Out Play-by-Play. Let me know what you think. Is Damwon poised for another Worlds title? And can Gen G climb out of their slump in time? Be sure to follow @LOL Esports on Twitter for everything related to League of Legends esports, and I'll see you here next time.
화려한 기환입니다.
돌아왔구나 다몽기야. 밀자 들어가면 동심 한타 덕감의 화염포에는 자비가 없습니다. 한 명씩 쓰러집니다. 동심 레드포스. 아니 한판 뒤집기 동심. 우리는 위로 간다. 제제.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first match of the LCK Summer Playoffs Round 2. We have our first and second seeds coming out of the regular season facing off. And you might be asking, why first and second are playing? Shouldn't it be first and fourth or something like that? That's how things should work. But no, Damwon Kia have elected to face Nongshim Red Force in today's first match. They chose them over T1 moving towards this one. And it's an interesting answer to a question, that a lot of people were asking, myself included, right? We were talking about that throughout the entire final series. And do you think that they've made the right choice in Nongshim?
I mean, it's a tough call either way. Both teams have very different strengths. If it were me, I would have picked T1. I think it's a better matchup for Damwon Kia. It gives you a very easy finals, I think, if you're thinking about that Nongshim would go to that finals, right? So it's a tough call to make, but it's the one that they made. They have a lot of experience against Nongshim, and they were able to beat them in high-stakes matches earlier this year, of course, in the Kespa Cup. So it was a lot of experience for Damwon Kia going into this semifinals.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think that based on the very recent performances of both T1 and Nongshim, maybe you could say, maybe there is an argument that based on, how well they performed in round 1, T1 I'm talking about, of course, then perhaps there is a reason to elect for Nongshim instead, who did drop a game to Afrika, who were our last seed coming towards these playoffs. And let's check it out. This is going to be your playoffs bracket. Damwon Kia, as you can see, taking on Nongshim, and then Genji versus T1, a spring semifinal rematch. And remember, last time, a lot of people were betting on the fan favorites T1, but Genji came out with guns blazing in that series.
The story, too, of how we got here is just so unbelievable. How tight our top 6 teams here in the LCK were, and we might have Damwon Kia versus Genji again for a rematch of our spring finals. And sometimes when you have that in a tournament series like the LCK, it feels like, same teams again, very boring. But how we may potentially get there is so extremely different than what we saw in spring. It would be an extremely hype rematch if we do get it, but it's still up in the air.
Yeah, the thing that's my absolute favorite is that it's not over after the playoffs as well. We still get that gauntlet to try and fight for the final spots in the World Championship. Of course, if you do get that first qualification, then you're still going to be there. But let's check out some of our predictions, ladies and gentlemen. And this one is going to be pretty green. Bit of a spoiler there, but as you can see, the majority of us believing that Damwon Kia is going to take this one pretty comfortably. There is not one 3-2 inside.
Yeah, exactly. Not even one person thinks it's going to be a very close series. Myself, Chronicler, Bitdori, and Kuro all picking the 3-1 scoreline.
3-1 Andy's over here.
3-1 Andy, the very boring one. But I do think that, as Chronicler has told us many times, his reasoning for the 3-1 is that the bot mismatch is definitely going to potentially give Nongshim a win in this best of 5. But I think there's a lot of variance still in this meta. You could definitely throw a game if you end up making big mistakes in the late game. So a 3-0 here, I personally just don't see it. I think there's going to be at least one game Nongshim takes.
Yeah, I think that maybe some mentality might play into it. If a team gets out with a big lead, then it could be a much closer series. If it is, in fact, Nongshim taking the first couple of games, I think that if Damwon start really strong, it's going to be very, very difficult for Nongshim to find their way back in, which is sort of how I justified the 3-0. But anything can happen on a day like today. And when you've got Canyon and Peanut going up against one another, oh, man. There could potentially be fireworks. Definitely, potentially.
The fan prediction is actually a little bit closer than I thought it would be, to be honest. 69 for Damwon Kia. That's always the fun number to get here in the LCK. But 31 go to Red Force, and that's a lot higher than I expected. I thought we'd be looking at like 10 to 15 or so, especially because Damwon Kia are defending world champions. A lot of people who vote for these don't watch the entirety of the regular season. Like, cool, I'm watching semis. I want to see who's going to the finals. But, Nongshim Red Force getting a lot of new fans this season.
No, absolutely. And who can't love a bit of ramen? I myself definitely very partial to it, and very, very impressive that Nongshim have been able to rally so many fans in such a short amount of time. But let's check out some points of the match moving into this one. We've got a cool video for you as Damwon Kia prepare to take on Nongshim. Nongshim, not a lot on their shoulders as far as pressure, and maybe that will help them be a bit more charged up, because I think when the predictions are this one-sided, it does take a lot off the shoulders of the challenger. As Damwon Kia, you saw it was a tumultuous season.
It certainly was. You know, the beginning of the season, we had role swaps because the bot duo was really struggling, and you could see that Nongshim, master of comebacks is what they are called here. They have really surprised people this season. After their somewhat lackluster finish in spring, people didn't expect high things from them. They were actually looking at more towards maybe Sandbox is going to do better. How is Afrika going to improve? But it turns out that Duckdom was really coming to his own. Gory was exactly what this team needed. And for that reason, they ended up getting to a top spot here in the LCK. They are second seed going into the semifinal. And what's really scary for Nongshim, I think, going into this series is how they played the Afrika series so predictably. And going into draft, I think that is something that Damwon Kia is going to have a huge edge. And as you can see, also historically speaking, in Nongshim's very short history, they're 9-4, the victors.
Yeah, Damwon Kia is certainly having it, but recently it has been 2-1s in favor of Nongshim every time. So, based on this season's matchups, certainly a little bit more of a chance here, but Damwon Kia truly ramping towards the latter portion of this season. And we've had a lot of our other teams falling down. Of course, Gen.G were able to topple Nongshim Red Force in the final regular season match of summer. And that's maybe part of the reason why some people have gone off the Nongshim hype train, despite the fact that they did manage to take down Afrika pretty convincingly in the end.
The strength of Damwon Kia has always been its team fighting and its late game fights and synergy that you could see in these crazy moments. The one that we had, Captain Flowers breaking down even right before the stream, right, where you see Damwon end up clutching that Baron while putting the pressure on macro-wise. These are the kind of plays that Damwon Kia makes better than most teams in the world right now, and that's what's so terrifying about them. The two strong players on the side of Nongshim Red Force to really focus on right now are Peanut and Duckdom. I think everybody knows it. Gory was someone we were all looking at as maybe MVP candidate here, but at the end of the season where it matters most, Peanut is coming up big. He's playing a lot of Diana right now, which is somewhat predictable, so a bit of a double-edged sword there. But when they have comps they can play around Peanut's Diana, Nongshim look almost flawless. And Duckdom, he's the other person in this equation. You give this guy a Felios, and he is going to tear it up. And this is something that Damwon Kia will not make the mistake that Afrika did in that first round of playoffs.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to what Damwon's answer is going to be. Is it going to be just ban it away, or do they have something sort of in the tank to make sure that Ghost and Beryl are going to be okay in that lane? Because one thing that I've really loved is Ghost's Ashe play. He's been very, very good at it. In that breakdown video, like you were talking about, he was on the Ashe, being able to facilitate so much more. His Aphelios has actually been pretty good in the later half of the season as well. So certainly some options here as far as what Damwon can do to try and mitigate the Duckdom factor, but definitely needs to be brought up because he is so extraordinarily good, and I think certainly earned the title of our 80 carry of the split.
Oh, no doubt. Here's our playoff roster for Damwon Kia because it is their first playoff match since they did have that second round seed. No changes being made. You are able to change your roster before playoffs. We always have to give that information to you guys, but here are your stats here between these two teams, and across the board, really nice stats for both. A little bit cleaner on the side of Damwon Kia, especially in terms of objective control. Notice that Baron percent at 76.2. That is pretty unbelievable.
It's pretty ridiculous as well having a look at the team DPM. That's my favorite part, showing that both of these teams are extremely bloodthirsty. Want to make sure that they get around the map and cause as much of a ruckus as possible. I think Canyon switching his focus to more of that Lee Sin playstyle really has allowed them to ramp up their early game to a much higher pace, which I'm very excited to see because we know that Peanut, he's not going to be playing that. This guy's racing to level 6, he's clearing out as many camps as he can, and he's playing Diana. So, Canyon, you've got to carry us through. We don't want any lull states. This is a semi-final. Please make sure that we get the action that we're looking for. And as you can see, champion kills per minute, they are first in the regular season, and that is no surprise.
When you look at the Baron percentage for Nongshim Red Force, it's just over 50, but they're also the second best in the LCK at Baron control, but that's not a strength when you're up against the 76% that is Dam1 Kia, right? When you have one of your best strengths is your opponent's best as well, and they're better at it than you, you know, you might as well just wipe it off the stats screen, because winning these late game team fights against Dam1 Kia front to back isn't going to be easy, and I worry that Nongshim will go back to that sort of wombo combo style again for that reason. It raises the variance level extremely high. It means that you might win some team fights when you're behind in a game of League of Legends that you shouldn't necessarily win if you get that perfect engage. But it means that your drafting becomes so predictable if you go down that path.
Yeah, I'm sort of expecting it to happen again. I made another whoopsie, by the way. I made another M-lead issue. It wasn't champion kills per minute, it was combined kills per minute.
Oh, it
does in the end mean exactly the same thing. However, yes. I need to make sure that I get the vernacular correct, and needed to admit to that one. Is have a look at this. Rich versus Khan. Damage per gold is where my eyes are drawn. As you can see, even in the first playoff, Rich, you remember back, he was having a rough time.
He was.
You know, and still manages to keep that value rating way up there, but Khan is the king of this. He is so good at living on limited resources, right? He would survive very well on Arrakis, if you guys know anything about June. He's very, very good at getting by with whatever his team gives him.
Those are some of the picks here for Rich. I mean, yes, Khan also a great Jace player. Both these players are extremely good at Jace, and it's a champion they're both famous for, but two of these picks that Rich has the best win rate on, the Jace and the Nocturne, are basically unplayable right now. Nocturne because he's fallen out of the meta, and Jace because he's permanently banned usually on red side. So that's not a strong point you can use anymore. And what champion wasn't shown there for Rich, which he has been playing a lot, is his cannon, which is something he has historically done great on. But this is something that, of course, Dam1 Kia is going to keep in mind. So it worked pretty well against Afrika because Keen thought, okay, well, I could just crush him in lane so much that it won't matter. I don't think Dam1 Kia is going to give him necessarily the opportunity to play the cannon regardless of matchup.
The thing that I'm really looking forward to is whether or not we're going to see Lucian make a return to the top lane. We saw Xiaohu really start popping off on that pick during that final. Was a bit of a banger as well, going all 5 games. But certainly was something that they were able to leverage, and that was an old mega pick for Rich. He was so good at the Lucian. When he was cycling between, I'm going to play Aatrox or Lucian every single game, you know, like that was what we knew him for, and it is something that he could dust off theoretically in this particular match, because I think that this is going to be one where champions like Lucian are likely to get ignored in the ban phase because we have reached that extra level of depth, right?
Yeah.
We have realized that we have to try and get rid of some of these pocket picks, you know, perhaps the LeBlanc from Showmaker and things like this to make sure that they can have the best ride possible.
This is a series where you target ban a lot more than you ban for the meta. I completely agree with you on that, especially because Nongshim have shown such a strong, stark contrast to the meta in their playstyle. They're the team that's going to play Yasuo Diana more than anyone else, right?
I mean, outside of Dam1 Kia, right? Because they're the ones that started it.
But they're going to be the ones who prioritize the Diana highest, right? And they also will prioritize Nidalee higher. So these are things that Dam1 Kia can use in the draft because they haven't shown any playoff games just yet. So you could target against Showmaker a little bit here as Nongshim Red Force, but that's exactly what Dam1 Kia want you to do. That's what they want you to think about, is what they did in their most recent games, which were now so long ago on a completely different patch.
Well, let's have a look at what's going to happen here as we hop into pick and ban for game number 1 of this best of 5 semi-final between Dam1 Kia and Nongshim Red Force. The first ban will be that Aurelia, that flex for Nongshim. I'm going to put that in inverted commas because I think Gori is much more dangerous on the pick, but he is extraordinarily dangerous on the pick as Diana is going to be banned away.
So you just don't even get to play that style as Nongshim anymore with the Diana combos. Not going to be allowed.
Remember, do you know what happens if the Diana's banned? Then you get the Peanut Nidalee problem.
That's right.
Which certainly is extremely dangerous. However, he was using Canyon's skin. Remember, there's a certain player that really put Nidalee back on the map, and it wasn't Hotshot GG.
No.
He did it first. It was in fact Canyon with extraordinary play.
I see the Aphelios ban here. I like it a lot, but I think as Nongshim, you leave the Renekton open here, you ban exactly the LeBlanc. So now if you're going to prioritize the Renekton here as Dam1 Kia, you get one solo lane where it can be counterpicked, whether it's mid or bottom, or rather mid or top, excuse me. And Nongshim have the opportunity, if you don't take the Renekton, if you want to do something like a Ryze here or a Jace, you can actually get Renekton Nidalee. So I really like this LeBlanc ban, especially here for Nongshim, because now you have this opportunity to play to your strengths in Peanuts Nidalee, and I think you absolutely have to go for this. You have to take your chance, pick this up in your first game here. Yes, you do give over the really strong Jace pick that we talked about before we head into the series, but I think it's just too big of an opportunity to pass up here for Nongshim going into the first game of a best-of-5.
Yeah, I'm also kind of hoping that they flex the Renekton towards the mid lane as well, as that Nidalee is going to come through alongside the Renekton. Bit of a no-brainer here, and as far as the beginning of this draft is concerned, you could imagine both teams knew exactly what was going to come out, right? You leave Jace up, Jace will be picked. This is Khan, for goodness sake. Like, this guy invented Jace here in Korea. It's not true. You know, Smeb was definitely playing Jace way before, but still, Khan
Postmodern LCK.
Yeah, he's the postmodern Jace king. That's absolutely true. As Renekton will finally be locked in. Don't know why they took so long. We knew that that was going to happen.
I think they're thinking about different permutations about what happens next year, because now the Ryze is still open, and it's still a very strong pick. You get both of your solo lanes locked up early. The Lucian isn't really a counter pick to the Ryze. You can play well against the Renekton if that does end up getting flexed. So I think that's a really strong pick for Damwon to pick up at this stage. They also want to lock up their jungle, and it will be the Xin Zhao.
Yeah, Xin, Varus is sort of coming to mind here.
Yeah, Varus, another strong pick here.
Yeah, Jace Varus has been very, very strong as a combination as far as setting up around these objectives and landing that poke. And you also have some teamfight potential. We know that when Jace does dive into a teamfight, especially Rich's Jace, he's certainly been more of our teamfighting variety, but certainly can get some work done as the Tryndamere Hover is going to come through for Showmaker. Interesting one. And will be Ziggs that's going to be locked away.
Yeah.
So a different poke variant for the bottom lane. Could, of course, be flexed into the mid lane if you would like to, but not likely going to see that.
Probably not going to happen, but you know, there's a lot of opportunities now for Damwon Kia to flex around their mid pick. They want to look for counter picks potentially here as the follow-up. We've seen this Kai'Sa rising in popularity again here in Korea. When you do a decent amount of poke, there's always the ability to just go in and execute a single target. When you hit a Nidalee Spear onto someone like a Ziggs, Kai'Sa just ults in, blows up the Ziggs instantly, and you've removed a lot of Damwon Kia's damage. The same could be true of a Jace as well. So it does really empower those spear hits in terms of those late game exchanges.
Not to mention the fact that Doc Dom has found some very recent success on the Kai'Sa as well. Has looked pretty good on the pick. Didn't play it a whole lot in the regular season, but looking forward to seeing what he can do here.
Trundle removed. Not going to get that, you know, Halo Blades Trundle Ziggs bot lane coming through to be very annoying and oppressive. Do appreciate that ban.
I do really like this. You can ban maybe like Trundle Braum or something like that, theoretically, as the Leona is going to get banned. And I was going to talk about this, right? Yeah. Because you can ban Trundle Braum and then pick the Leona, and then you're like, Beryl, what you going to do? And Beryl says, well, neither of us are going to do Leona, so what are you going to do?
It's going to be removal of both here. Neither will go through. And if you're Damwon Kia, you're the one who has to ban the Braum potentially here if Nongshim can take away the Kench, because Kai'Sa Braum can also be a lane that you'd be happy to play. Not amazing into what Damwon Kia has, but blocking that Jace Shock Blast is just too much value, I think, to pass up. I think you do have to take this away. As Damwon Kia, it's just very textbook, very easy.
Yep. You can also, with the way that Kai'Sa can work with a Halo Blades build, if they do decide to go for it, you can proc the Braum passive very comfortably as well, and can block some of these melee supports.
They ban the Wukong instead.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. Definitely one of the, considered to be the kind of solo counter to Jace in a lot of ways. And so they value that higher. Well, this could mean just a lot of poke damage is denied here. And once you lock in the Braum, you still have counter pick for your second solo lane here as Nongshim. So it's a pretty comfortable situation if you're a Noodle fan back at home.
Yep.
But they will take the Kennen first here. That's a pretty odd choice to leave the support pick for last.
Will neutralize the top lane quite nicely. It is going to put Renekton into that mid lane though. So now Showmaker can decide to do whatever the heck he wants, and Ryze certainly fits the bill.
Yeah.
This is going to be quite dangerous. They needed a lot of AP damage in that mid lane to make sure that you know, the 3 on the top side of the map are going to have that added bit of magic damage.
Yeah, this is, you know, pretty easy choice, the Rise to come through here. I think the other option could have been, if you really wanted to go all in on the poke, the Zoe, but I think you've got enough of it that you don't really need to go down that path because, you know, you're kind of going too all in that direction.
I like the consistent damage that Rise provides as well. Zoe can be a very confusing champion as far as being able to dish out, you know, consistent damage.
And very vulnerable to Nidalee Spears. Rel will be the choice here.
Okay.
Not as oppressive in terms of setting up for the bot lane in this scenario with the Ziggs as some of the other picks that you could have had. Also, doesn't synergize extremely well here in terms of setting up for those big magnet storms with ultimates. You can obviously get a lot of value out of Ziggs, maybe set for some Rise roots, but it's not the most amazing synergy. It's not like Samira level, where you do a ton of damage. It's not like the synergy you can get with Aphelios with that. And we'll see the Nautilus, not the Alistar response here. Alistar, a very common response actually to the Rel in lane, but they just want to have the Nautilus for those team fights.
Yeah, Kellen just wanting a little bit more engage. Of course, you can just throw out the anchor whenever it's off cooldown to see whether there's an opportunity, a little less of that all or nothing engage approach. And I don't mind that, especially for a game 1. Allow yourself to have some non-committal CC to start things off. So, those are going to be your drafts. Who is going to be able to take game 1? I
mean, the difference in these two drafts is pretty intense, right? Because you have a lot of consistent damage output in the late game with Dom1 Kias. Obviously the Jace poke, but you can engage in once you get that chip damage through from Ghost. You have the consistent damage that Rise is going to offer you, and you have 2 great engage tools with the Rel and the Xin Zhao. But on the other side of things, you know, this is a composition that Nongshim can get a really nice tempo advantage with. Start to get ahead early. Peanut becomes fed. His spears become deadly. Rich has a lot of flank angles he could take. Duckdom, fantastic on the Kai'Sa. I still personally really prefer Dom1 Kia's draft because I think it's just too big to fail if we go to the late game. But Nongshim, if they get a tempo advantage, this draft is still extremely powerful.
I think a lot of it does hinge on the shoulders of Duckdom as well, much like a lot of the Nongshim drafts that we have seen. If this Kai'Sa hits critical mass, we've seen what Duckdom can do, right? It is absolutely terrifying, but it will require some snowball assistance. I'm expecting that Peanut is going to be playing around mid and bottom lane. The Kennen, not as reliable. Plus, you know, if you have some Merc Treads there for Khan or something like that, then things are going to be pretty comfortable up there. So I'm expecting Rich to be playing some weak side Kennen. Is a neutralizing matchup, right? Like Kennen just in general is just capable of surviving in a lot of lanes. But I think that Dom1 are probably going to play through that lane.
Yeah,
and, try and get that Rift Herald and crash it.
Exactly. I think they're definitely going to try to snowball an advantage for Khan early. I mean, this is the pick they prioritized first, and it's a matchup where if you do get ahead versus the Kennen, you can start really bullying him out of the lane, push him back. You've got kill pressure up there. So the play for Nongshim, I think, needs to be around the bottom side of the map and mid, where you can obviously catch Rise if he is overextending and being greedy with a spear, but the bottom side of the map is where you can really start to get a nice advantage. Lower Ziggs' snowball ability, and if you get Duckdom ahead, it's going to be massive. But I think the biggest champion who is going to want that tempo lead is going to be the Nidalee, because you get the fast Night Harvester, might even go for Dark Seal in this game eventually, and then you can really shape how pre-fight works, because yes, there is a lot of poke on Dom1 Kia's side, but every player on Dom1 Kia's side, if they get hit by a spear, is going to be chunked down so hard that it gives you so much more potential to fight. Slicing Maelstrom engage, stuff like that.
And I think that also, like, both of these teams have compositions that can find that sort of wombo sort of engage, you know, with the Magnet Storm plus Mega Inferno Bomb certainly is one of those options. But I think Khan wants to keep Nongshim at arm's length the majority of the time, as Showmaker is going to do exactly that here with Gori, who is getting shoved out of this lane. Certainly a difficult one for anyone that's melee. You know, if you stand in a minion wave against Rise, it just feels bad. And yeah, Showmaker hitting level 2, going to make Gori's life difficult, but the setup is still going to be there. It's always going to be there.
Yeah. 2 of the stats we just had up on the screen, Rich being 3-0 on the Kennen, Kellen 4-0 on this Nautilus, this Barrel 10-0 on the Rel. That was during a very dominant spring season. But
we also played a couple of them in summer as well, but they were a couple of the victories, as we can see.
I just wanted to point out that Rich's Kennen, even though he's you know, 100% win rate on it. A lot of those games he has lost lane. A lot of those games he has been behind. Like, it was not about him. So I would argue that even though it's a champion he's historically been good on in the past, it was kind of a liability for Nongshim, a lot of that Afrika series that we did watch. So see how he performs this time around, because he's playing against, you know, we jokingly call it one of the best Jaces in Korea, one of the best postmodern ones in Khan, and it's not going to be an easy start in this matchup.
Yeah, he was, Khan is definitely the man that kind of developed the hyper-aggressive Jace play, right? We talk a lot about, you know, the mantle that was picked up by Noguri, but that was set up by Khan back in the Longzhu days.
When you see, well, yeah, when you hear the term Korean Jace, usually Khan's face pops into your mind.
Yeah. Sort of like I've got Khan and Smith sort of grinning at me saying, yes, we're the ones that designed this.
And Rich is, you know, he's definitely making a name for himself on it, and he comes up in the list, but the top of the list is definitely Khan at this moment in time. Is Peanut going to take the long path here towards the top side of the map, but will not be able to get his Krugs. Well, get the remnants of them at least.
Yep, going to be able to tidy it up as Peanut over here with Bewitching Nidalee as well, my personal favorite Nidalee skin. Bit of a shout out. As, okay, going to check out what Canyon's doing as he throws down the ward, but this is not really what you want, Peanut, as Wind becomes Lightning, and there's the Shock Blast. A little bit late on the flash, but still gets out to relative safety as Showmaker going to get stunned up there in the mid lane. Throws a Q a little bit wide.
Very, very unfortunate that Peanut has to use his flash there. And arguably he could have saved it, but you don't want to take that chance. He does end up getting hit by the Shock Blast, but if you do end up getting caught by that Xin Zhao knockup, you are dead. So yeah, goes over the wall there, or flashes out rather, and does end up escaping, but that means a lot of lost power for this Nidalee that isn't going to be able to get that same sort of tempo lead. Look at this career, 41 games. 80% win rate.
Well, now it's might be getting a little bit difficult as he decides to go back in on Rich. There's the teleport from Showmaker, though.
Can he
interrupt? As Gori wants to try and interrupt. He's not going to be able to. Rich going to be preemptively flashing, but that means that he's just going to get taken down. That's going to be first blood. Slide over extension, but great capitalization from Damwon.
I'd really like to get a replay of actually what was the lead up to the interrupt attempt there from Gori, because if your game plan is revolving around the fact that you're going to try to interrupt the teleport there from Showmaker, you've got to be on that. You've got to interrupt that. And that's definitely something they discuss, is the perfectly timed Shock Blast here on the teleport, and from Rich gets a little bit of extra damage done there to the cannon, but you've got to stop that teleport from coming through if you want to actually look for that 1v1 in the top side of the map, and he just simply was not on time. Like, I want to see the mid exchange more than anything else. So I'm watching on the mini-map, he's just under turret. It's just too far away. Just simply put, he didn't expect it to come through during this exchange. Not a communication between Gori and Rich, like, make sure you interrupt his teleport. Rich loses his flash here as well.
I think might have had his Slice and Dice on cooldown as well. Otherwise, you'd assume walks into the minion wave, Slice, Dice, stun. But maybe just assumed that he'd have enough time. So it could have also been an unforced error here. As we have a look, J6 currently 71.4%. I think a little bit lower than our Varus Jace stats, but I think we have a larger sample size of that one, not entirely sure.
Yeah, it's actually pretty decent size now, 7 games. As Nongshim are going to be able to get this break early with the prio they have bot side, which is good news considering that early kill there.
Yep.
On the top side.
Now we've got a minute and a half until the Rift Herald, so Nongshim can set up for that one as well. I do like a bit of that neutral focus to come through, and what I really want now is to see Peanut focus on that mid lane.
Yeah.
Showmaker had to use his flash in order to lock down that first blood.
Exactly. That's the one place where you have a little bit more kill pressure, because you know that there's a guaranteed stun, right, with the Renekton. You have the spear to connect, and there's no flash play for Showmaker in this scenario. Whereas for the rest of Nongshim going into that Rift Herald fight, they've lost 2 critical summoner spells in the flashes for the Kennen and the Nidalee, so that Rift Herald fight is going to be so difficult to pull off. Not to mention that Rich, of course, doesn't have teleport, so won't be able to reposition to look for a slicing maelstrom from a different angle.
Oh, and you can see Showmaker knows exactly what's up here. Like, he's playing so defensively, just allowing Gori to hold this wave here. And he sort of has to, right? Yes, he does have control vision, but you get that flash in, you get a pounce over from Peanut, and he hits the spear. Like, I don't know, man. It can all happen so quickly as Nongshim are going to rotate over. Showmaker's fears are going to be realized.
Yeah, his position of the wave is so good here, too.
Yeah, Gori's really making life hard for Showmaker.
This is just really unfortunate for Gory here, because if he was able to get closer, there could have been a flash engage there from Kellen. There was some opportunity there, but as it turns out, Damwon Kia not only get away with this, Showmaker's totally fine. There's no punish play even though Kellen roams, and they have
I mean,
Cryo.
there's a 20 CS lead. It's still worth it entirely for Gory.
Yeah. But they have no prio for this. Gory's trying to get in there. Khan's a bit zoned out.
Yeah, Rich getting some control of the wave. Spears coming through once again as Shelly is going to go on an excursion. But will then retreat back to this
Damwon
pit.
really respecting the power of this early game Renekton and how much he's going to be able to do in a 5v5 fight, and they're just not going to pull the trigger to come through and actually group for this one. Their comp is very fragile at this stage, so even though they had a really nice setup in terms of prio there, they're not able to get in first.
Well, they might be still going for some sort of fight as the Rift Herald is down very, very low. Now Beryl moving himself into position. Only level 5 as it is going to be the secure on that Rift Herald. Kellen in a bit of trouble. Magnet Storm not actually available. That was Canyon with his ultimate as now Khan dives on forward. Rich throws out the ulti, but it's already the exhaust down on the cannon. Ghost is going to be able to pick up that kill as now the Nautilus is just fed to the wolves and Doctarm pushed completely out of the fight. Peanut, just nothing he can do. So, 3 kills going over to Damwon Kia and nothing in response from Nongshim outside of Shelly.
Yeah, Kellen doesn't have his ultimate. He's locked down. He's chain CC'd. Is blown up very early into the fight, and there's just not much you could do as Nongshim when you're trying to turn like that outside of the slicing maelstrom, which we did see, and they were almost able to pick Khan, but he just barely survives. As a positioning here, you're locked between, a Rift Herald and a hard place here, unfortunately, as Nongshim.
Yeah.
I misspoke and said Kellen. It was, of course, the pickoff there onto Renekton. As Kellen is unable to do anything with his ultimate regardless, though, as he's only level 5. And if he could maybe set up, if he could ult there and they could collapse in, then the cannon comes through. It's a totally different story, but, at the stage of the game, your level 5 is the support. Not going to happen. Chain CC was good on Gory. Damwon Kia, yeah, they lose out on the Rift Herald, which goes to Kellen, by the way, and pick up a ton of gold. So I think they're very happy with how the exchange goes.
Yeah, and Showmaker is especially happy. He's now sitting on 3-0-1, picking up 2-0-3 in that last fight to augment his first blood that he's already picked up as Kellen. Going to come through for a gank. A couple of marks of the Storm are here, so the stun is going to come down. Great dredge line is going to land here as Khan looks to try and turn it around, but that ain't happening. Rich picks up the first kill for Nongshim of this semifinal series.
There he goes. Finally is able to make something happen. Kellen has been so aggressive on the map. Has been looking for picks this entire time because this team comp does have such great power in the early game with its CC if you can land it. So when you do set up that cannon stun, it's really easy to dredge line right afterwards and guarantee that kill. The same could be true, of course, of the Renekton stun in the mid lane. He hasn't been able to find that follow-up until finally just now. That's going to be a little bit of extra gold into Rich's pocket, and he's going to take that opportunity to reset.
Wow, Ghost is pretty aggressive on this Ziggs as he's going to almost kill Doctarm, down to 150 health, and that will definitely deter him from trying to back anywhere near this outer turret bottom lane. So that was one plate already taken, but you can see how
it's Ziggs.
the passive really does chunk turrets. It is ridiculous.
Yeah, Kellen nowhere to be found. He's on his way down, so Doctarm just has to hold on as best as he can here, and that's perfectly timed now with the Drake spawn here for Damwon Kia. Look at the positioning of Beryl. He's wrapping around. They are looking for blood. In worst case scenario, they just grab another plate here very likely with this play. And they can just back off to the dragon. This is really aggressive from Canyon, but the payoff is so huge. And there's nothing that Nongshim could realistically do right now because they have no prio mid. Gory can't come down here. He has to long walk it.
Yeah, I really like the fact that they put Showmaker top lane because he can teleport to sort of just the mid lane, right? And then Realm Warp to close the gap even further, right? You don't need to have a ward position as we've got a gank. This is what the Renekton Nidalee can do. The Jace, absolutely nothing he can do to respond as now a Slicing Maelstrom comes in. Another decent exhaust, but he's not tired enough as they do manage to get one. There's the knock up onto Gory, but he turns it onto the Xin Zhao, and Nongshim have found their way back.
And this is going to be Rift Herald getting tossed down in the mid. That's going to be a ton of extra plate gold. They also did not get the Drake, so that's a Drake available here for Nongshim to take as well after this with the extra fire they're going to get. And Nongshim just loves playing these wombo combos. They punish the fact that Damwon Kia are trying to be both on Drake and, of course, around that mid lane. Then Rich's teleport comes back online. Ghost.
Yeah, he's going to be able to get that fadeaway.
Yeah, he's got his satchel. He'll be fine. But this is another style of team comp where you have so much blow-up potential going to watch
this one out from Rich's perspective.
Yeah. And he flashes to
They
get
could have
the
might got
stun, and then Kellen follows up.
그만 져줘야 돼. Okay.
So he's like making sure he gets the kill. He's like, I gotta get this kill. And then Peanut's lurking here. Canyon goes in, but the slice and dice, as you mentioned, is just so easy to close the gap. And Barrel is so far away. When he does finally attract repel, it's too late. Gory is so healthy.
Not to mention the fact that Showmaker teleports in to die.
Yeah, that's just a giveaway kill. And that's a free Rift Herald drop. Kellen's got it, and Nongshim now looking to take this Drake we were talking about.
Well, in goes Canyon. He's going to try and steal it, and he does so. Now the knock up onto Gory. He gets himself towards the backline as now Kellen is trying to get that re-engage, but Doctom dives forward, immediately gets CC'd as Canyon. He's looking for him. Can he find the audacious charges? No. Slips into the brush. No vision available for Damwon Kia as Khan. Can he find the shock blast? And the answer is yes. Doctom was peeking out, and unfortunately there was a Jace there as Damwon Kia, once again, as the group up occurs, if they can get on their own terms, they're able to win the team fight.
They also just didn't have, Nongshim didn't have the ults they needed for that team fight. Slicing Maelstrom is just now coming back up. You don't have Dominus as Renekton there. And they had a pretty thin window to pull off that Drake take, and Damwon Kia know that. They come in, they're ready for the punish, Canyon can get over the wall, and they get the steal and win the ensuing fight. And this is just a great way as Damwon to punish a risky play, is just walk forward, walk towards them. They don't have those critical ultimates they need to team fight in this early game because they use them in that mid fight.
Yeah. And it was only 2 plates taken by Shelly, whereas you saw that Ghost was able to get 3. They're on the bottom side, so things working out okay despite Damwon not being able to pick up that Herald. This was just a very self-assured play here by Canyon.
Doctom's not here, and you just, I mean, it's so easy to engage onto this when you know there's no punish play. And Doctom lives for a really long time here, but obviously they're completely outnumbered. He walks left into this brush, but he doesn't know Khan is here, so no harm, no foul there on that one, but
Khan just predicting what was going on.
정말 빠져도 돼, 빠져도 돼.
Canyon's like, yep.
like, yeah,
I think I know.
Boom.
No comment.
이거 미드 밀래?
Let's go mid.
You want to push mid?
I like that. Well, Rich. Oh dear. Okay, Wind becomes lightning, not going to come through. Shirley going to pop down though, as Rich is going to take this as his opportunity to leave. And Canyon's just going to join Khan up here. They should be able to wipe this turret off the face of the map pretty comfortably. Favor is being returned on the bottom side here for Nongshim though. Let's see how far they're going to be able to get. But it's a little bit slower, and this inner turret is exactly where Damwon Kia's eyes are. As Shirley, this is her opportunity to get a little bit more value in this game.
There's nobody here to defend this. Rich is just going to concede it.
Yeah, so quickly. This might be another charge.
Yeah, I think it will be. They don't have any range damage here. I mean, outside of Rich, and he does deny it.
Yeah, is denied. So thankfully, if you poke her eye while she's darting on forward at that low health, you get the aura.
You're still right. She's still charged. She just didn't hit her target.
Yes, exactly. And that turret was likely going to regen a whole bunch of health as well, because pretty difficult to get a push that deep.
Yeah, it's 16 minutes into the game, but I mean, this is the Damwon Kia starting to pick up so much extra gold, though. Getting that inner turret versus, you know, the damage we saw mid.
Showmaker spots out the problem. Now trying to return it as well, as the Everfrost is going to land. Doctom in a lot of trouble as there's a Realm Warp. Doctom, oh no, he has no way of getting out. No, does find the ulti. That was beautifully done. However, meant nothing in the end as Wind did become lightning and Canyon picked up the kill.
So, I mean, he's so fed in this game, Showmaker is. You just blow up instantly.
I loved waiting for the killer instinct though afterwards. That was actually a really clever idea, but just wasn't enough as the response came through.
Now, I mean, Damwon Kia have so much control over the map, and Doctom being dead now twice in this game means he's missing out on so much critical farm for the Kai'Sa to still be relevant heading into this mid game, where Ghost is well and truly online, right? Showmaker, we can't even express through the English language how good he is right now in terms of where his gold's at. Jace is fed as well at this point, and you're really starting to worry about being able to take objectives now at this point, because Peanut is 1-1-3, not where he wants to be, and this composition is so reliant on hitting those spears. As you watch this from Showmaker's perspective, Sweeper sees it, calls it out. He's like, I'm fighting, drops the Everfrost, and Canyon's here, so he's like, I'm ulting. Let's go. And yes, he does, of course, hold that and get out of there,
Nice,
but dies regardless.
Yeah, get the vision over, and because he landed the Wind Becomes Lightning, the extended range on Audacious Charge, going to be enough to get there, but it was almost a great escape from Dr.
Yeah, it's just really unfortunate here that Nongshim don't have great ways to get back in this game. They don't have side lane control. You know, they don't have a fed Peanut who can start threatening people right now. He just has to kind of keep farming so that he can hope to be relevant later. But the fact of the matter is, Damwon Kia's comp is so easy to execute as well from ahead with the vision control that they now have and are now perpetuating across the map.
Yeah. Think about how many Mega Inferno bombs there are going to be with this beautiful, glorious Cloud Soul.
It's an Atlas semi-final cast, you know.
Yeah.
It's just what's going to happen.
We get guaranteed the best Dragon Soul in the game.
Yeah, and it's pretty fantastic for the Ziggs. It's going to be pretty good for, I guess, you know, some of the other champions, but not as much. Not an amazing one.
Think about all of the transforming Jace can do. Yeah, let's go.
Khan's going to be zooming.
Yeah, and Showmaker, he's just going to be teleporting everywhere. It's like an episode of Futurama over here. Absolutely fantastic. Love it.
It is actually really important for Nongshim's comp, I would argue, more so if they were able to get it. But it's not looking great for their chances at this moment in time. I gotta say, you know, this game looked very good for Nongshim at times, but it was always when Damwon Kia had overextended and they had a game plan, they looked for the combo. And it's crazy how much Nongshim have really leaned into this style so hard here in playoffs. Instead of just trying to play the standard macro game or just going all in on Duckdom playing as Aphelios or playing more scaling comps, they're so reliant, even without the Diana, on Kennen engages. Nidalee, you know, coming in with Renekton, you get the stun chain together, you do a bunch of blow-up damage, you kill a single target, and I think that identity is just so transparent, and Damwon Kia are getting more control over the map. They're playing a comp that, yes, if you lose a few fights, you can fall behind, but they're trading up in these fights now. And this is what I'm worried about. This is part of my 3-1 prediction is, yes, I think there will be one game Nongshim steal away, but we're already seeing this in Game 1 is which team is playing more standard? The defending world champions. Which team has a huge lead in this game and is going towards a late game where their comp is better? It's the defending world champions in Damwon Kia. And we'll see if the draft changes and evolves for Nongshim. And this game is not over yet by any means, but it's at a very, very tough crossroads for Nongshim.
Yeah, I'm a little bit worried because I think that the draft can work in what, you know, the sort of counter to what Damwon is, which is creating that chaos and then living in it. But Nongshim made, like, what, one play with the Nidalee Renekton in the mid lane? It was successful. It was a great play. It worked really well. However, it's been 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And we've seen one.
That's the problem.
We need to see more of that. We needed to see a little bit more chaos and craziness to come through. And we know that this team is capable of it, but Peanut has been playing this Diana playstyle for so long and is now doing the same thing here with this Nidalee. And yes, it can work in some team compositions, but in this one, you know, when you're flanked by the Renekton that does want to be able to have agency early, it doesn't really work out as, okay, Damwon Kia just going to start off the Baron.
I mean, they have so much vision control right now. This is a, you know, ward that's disabled, of course, or rather a trap here in the brush. That was a word for a second.
Well, so vision going to be given over, but as you can see, Peanut is nowhere near this pit.
Yeah,
Damwon Kia know it. Yeah, they're just going to burst it down very comfortably. Damwon Kia just walk in, grab themselves a Baron, and Canyon's not going to be able to make it to the Realm Warp. However, he's happy to stick around here as the rest of the team are just blocking the escape. There's the ulti Canyon, trying to get Gori into the rest of his team. Maybe not exactly what they wanted, as Ghost doesn't have the ultimate, remember. Good exhaust onto Rich in the backline, and Ghost trying to stand his ground as Peanut is going to get taken out. Gori flashing forward, trying to get a kill, and will be able to lock down the Rise. As now Nongshim, there's only one Baron left remaining. Can they take it? And yes, it's an ace from Nongshim as the Noodles wake up.
I mean, Damwon Kia really tried to force that fight, and the idea is a good one. You have the engage coming through from Canyon, which splits the front line there away from Duckdom, which is where Showmaker was flanking to try to blow him up, but Duckdom lived so long, and Gori got an insane amount of value in this fight. Between his damage, his dominance, like, he was just untouchable. He was untouched, rather. And yes, Nongshim come into this fight with no ability to shut down the Baron. So you get the Baron buff here, and then you decide to just go Hail Mary. The flank here from Showmaker is amazing because he's looking to zone out Duckdom. Canyon says, okay, I'm going in, kill Duckdom, and we win this fight through a war of attrition because we have so much damage. But look at where Gori is. He zones out Khan, and then suddenly, unfortunately, Damwon Kia on the wrong side of this team fight. This is the kind of comp that Nongshim wants to walk towards it, struggles to sometimes close the gap. You close the gap for them, and it's a very, very awkward one here. And now Nongshim shore up a ton of that gold, do, of course, completely eliminate the Baron buff from the map, as you pointed out.
Yeah,
and this is one way back
power
to the
play
game.
available whatsoever. As that was exactly what Nongshim needed. It's not going to get them a gold lead just yet, but they're only 2,000 behind, and at 23 minutes, that is not the worst. But we still need to see more of these plays, as Khan taking so much damage here from Rich.
Yeah, you've got to be so careful, Chase. You're still very fragile. He actually went for Ghostblade this game, so he is really just trying to zoom around the map and get that poke damage done, threaten anybody who's trying to clear wards, control that vision.
Also going to be a death cap second from Rich as well, and I respect it. As in goes Canyon. Finds a bit of a knock-up onto Rich as Mega Inferno Bomb just to soften up the members of Nongshim. Can Peanut get enough heals down is the question, and it looks like they're not going to be able to save this inner turret. Gari thinking about heading forward for a bit of a flank, but there's no Docdom there. He's on the top side of the map as Showmaker is taking an inner in the mid lane, and it's as if Damwon Kia do have the Baron because they've now taken 2 inner turrets. Can we bring up the Baron power play? Even though they don't have the buff, maybe it's still working out like that because now it's 2 inner turrets and a Drake. That Damwon Kia are taking.
Their lead and their composition still stands, despite the fact that Nongshim did kill the entire team. They also got a lot of gold themselves because it was a very close fight. You know, 3 for 5 there. And so as a result, you can still push with the advantages you have to grab those inner turrets and then take the Drake that comes with it. So now Damwon Kia on that Cloud Soul point. And this is going to be amazing for a Jace who's already got the Ghost Blade, already is going to be very, very deadly, and we could see a lot more flanks when that, you know, extra speed comes through for the Jace, but Showmaker is the problem. He also has a Banshee's Veil now. He's going to be so difficult to pick off. If he, you know, gets hit by a spear, he's not going to worry about it. You know, that's just part of what this build does. So you want to pop that with anything you can if you can, but if you're trying to focus Showmaker in these fights, you're going to have a really hard time because he can, of course, engage into the fight late. He can flank. Yeah. He's not going to be at the front.
I'd also like to see Canyon throw a few less crocodiles into his team, which is what he did before that ace happened. Of course, if you can perma-CC the Renekton and then take him down in an instant, then sure. But that time around, it didn't quite work. And without Ghost having his ultimate available, that did make things a little bit more difficult. I think certainly some options here for Damwon to improve.
I think they definitely thought that they miscalculated that they could blow up Duckdom instantly with that Realm Warp flank, and if they do, then it was
very close. I think it was like 1 Q from Showmaker went a little bit wide, and that allowed the Killer Instinct to come through by that little bit of extra space.
Exactly. He got the shield and then, you know, was able to survive a little bit longer. He's got a Wits in this build, so he's, you know, starting to be able to tank a little bit more of that damage when he does decide to press the R button, so living a little bit longer. And Damwon Kia, you know, they're still in firm control of this game. There's been a few hiccups, right? And there's been a few moments here for Nongshim where they actually get to have that crazy, chaotic fight you were talking about. And they still have one more opportunity in this game to take that fight either at the next Baron, which I think is probably unlikely that we'll see Damwon Kia try to take a risky fight for, but more likely on the Cloud Soul, where Rich will have that death cap online, hopefully. And you can look for that big fight at the later part of the game to start taking all the extra available gold that's up, because 3 inner turrets are still available for Damwon Kia, for Nongshim to take from Damwon Kia, get all that extra money, and come back into this game. But if they don't win that next fight, it is pretty much over, right? So they've got one more big chance. There's the death cap purchase for Rich.
Ooh, this is big. There is the exhaust still available for Beryl, so he will have to play around that one. And the problem for me is, like, even if you exhaust him, like now with this build, it's a lot of extra damage that the cannon will have available to him. So vision being cleared around this Baron pit, and with all of the inner turrets down, means that it's so difficult for Nongshim to find themselves a safe way to get towards this Baron. There's Canyon, Beryl, and Khan just walking around as the goon squad here, just making sure that Nongshim abide by the rules, and the rules state that you're not allowed anywhere near the Baron pit, according to Damwon Kia.
Yeah. That's the one thing that they don't want Nongshim to have, is control of the Baron pit, where Damwon Kia have to be the ones walking towards them through a choke point that Kennen can control. And that's the LCK Kennen pit, where we do see a lot of teams just walk into Kennen ults, including Rich on the Kennen, and actually give away free team fights. And when you do have Baron control as Nongshim, you can force fights like that, and Damwon Kia just want to group up around it, put some control wards up, prevent Nongshim from ever being able to get into that checkmate scenario there. And that's why the group stands here like this for the next minute and a half.
Yeah.
They do have vision control themselves, but not enough control and not enough knowledge on the red side of the map to actually start this or do anything crazy like they did before.
I'd really like to see some priority put on the Cloud Soul. It's just going to have a lot of value for Damwon. Really adds to their engage potential, and that's why the Rel was picked, right? Because otherwise this composition does lack a bit of engage, as now Peanut going to dash over the wall, finds Beryl. Who's found who, I guess, is the question, as he's just in there sweeping out some wards.
Beryl, you know, this could be a Beryl moment if he's alone.
Here comes Lightning, comes forward as Khan finds a Shock Blast, gets the ult out of Canyon. As Peanut's going to hop himself away.
They really just want to poke Nongshim down and then start a Baron. Peanut.
Yeah, teleport is available for Rich, though, so he can try and get in from a flank. Peanut going to look to try and steal this one away in Damwon. They do not want to risk a flip.
Yeah, I mean,
just back off.
They don't even have to try to do this. They do back away, but that was extremely risky what Canyon did there. Did have to pop his ultimate. Beryl, I was also very concerned that he was going to go in there alone to try to clear some vision, because that has been the demise of Beryl a lot in the second half here of 2021, is trying to greedily clear vision, then ending up getting caught. But really, really risky scenario there for Damwon Kia, but they do end up escaping and backing out. Rich did teleport, in fact, as well, so that's actually huge because he's no longer going to be able to flank with that.
Yeah, I was about to mention, like, it's like they did that entire bait play
just
in order to get that teleport, but it also loses them priority on this dragon. Of course, giving up one Cloud Drake is not going to mean too much, but Damwon Kia now don't have that to help augment their win conditions.
Exactly.
They're going to focus once again around this Baron. They still need to clear out a lot of vision now, though, as certainly didn't quite work out as far as retaining that tempo control that Damwon Kia have had all game long.
And, you know, in this game, Peanut is going to get stronger as time goes on. Nongshim buying a lot of time with this Drake, and his damage is going to get higher and higher as they start this once again.
Yeah, fair bit of damage potential, especially with Showmaker and Ghost here, just to throw volley after volley at this Baron. As in goes Kellen, looks for a little bit, is now Depth Charge going to land onto Khan. Doesn't knock up anyone else, as the crash down from Beryl is going to get him to relative safety. Void Seeker not going to find anything, neither will the Spear, as Damwon Kia still looking now for a bit of a reset. Nongshim once again with some control around the Baron pit, as Gori had precast the ultimate.
Yeah,
he had any value.
No vision to chase anybody down and try to collapse in. As Nongshim, if you use any more ultimates in this exchange, you can't win the follow-up where Damwon Kia just reset and walk right back towards the Baron, which is very likely to happen here. So they don't actually commit in, they don't look for a fight, but now you've lost your other teleport because Gori had to teleport in. So both of these Baron starts for Damwon Kia remove a teleport from the map, which removes a lot of side lane pressure. And they're just going to start this once again, like I said.
And this is Void Staff spike as well from Showmaker, so he just completed his 4th item. This is a very dangerous rise.
Rich, I don't...
Banshees right now is Rich looking for a potential flank play. As you can see, Damwon Kia somewhat grouped up as in goes Peanut, but not able to steal away the Baron. That was a decent 50-50, but just not able to be won by Nongshim, as now they're looking to try and corral. The flash forward from Kellen as Peanut has to go golden preemptively, and now he's flashing out of the pit. There's the Mega Inferno Bomb, but Gori, he's got himself the Sterix. Canyon fails to flash to get over the wall. Meanwhile, the bottom fight is going as well, and Rich is going to go golden. Damwon Kia, they want no more of this, and they'll back away with 4 Barons intact.
4 Barons intact, much better than the last one, but
yes.
In this case, Rich just he's not able to get anything done on the flank. If he actually is able to get in and use a Slicing Maelstrom, this fight looks completely different, but he's unable to do so and holds onto it for so long. He doesn't have stopwatch, so he's so reluctant to go in. As Peanut just looks for the steal attempt here, gets out smoked by Canyon. And then look at Rich's positioning here on the bottom side of the fight. He's trying to control that choke point we've talked about so much because he has flash. He can flash over the wall and go in, but Damwon Kia never give him the opportunity. So by the time that he actually uses the Slicing Maelstrom here, most of Nongshim is zoned out enough to where Damwon Kia get the exit. They're able to get out of here. The Slicing Maelstrom is gone before they get through this choke point we've been talking about so much. And they get out of dodge with only losing 1 player. Extremely calculated macro plays here from Damwon Kia. 3 Baron attempts, the 3rd one they know. There could be no flank teleports. They hit that big power spike with the Void Staff you were talking about. Brilliant play here from Damwon Kia. It looks kind of cheesy, it looks kind of aggressive, but it's really smart.
In the end, I think it's still a 50-50 though. So, yes, they won it, but is that like, I don't know. It always feels a little bit worrying when you see the 50-50s elected for. However, a lot of people have told me that the LPL is the best region in the world, and they do that a lot. So I guess maybe we're just improving here in the LCK. As ㅣ2021 now trying to get this push working out on the bottom side. Showmaker does have his Realm Warp available, so he can turn up at a moment's notice. And here is the poke available. The siege from ㅣ2021 is terrifying. We haven't really seen it so much in this game, but now will be on full demonstration. Spears to come through, and Peanut lands one onto Canyon. Great dredge line as well from Kellen, who immediately has to break a stopwatch. Mega Inferno Bomb, and Kellen is just obliterated.
And so much good frontlining here from Canyon, who now has a GA too, so there's just really no risk involved. He soaks up so much damage, and then ㅣ2021 pounce. And they could do so from such long range. Now they could just siege up this inhibitor turret. They've got the Baron buff. This is so difficult to play as Nongshim. You don't have any flank angles, you don't have any opportunities here.
Yeah, and 4v5, they just can't do it. So ㅣ2021, they just get themselves together. It's just the well-oiled machine walking through with 5 legs. And just going to look to try and smash down some Nexus turrets now. We've got 7 seconds on Kellen, but the Nexus turret will go down, and they're avoiding the spears. They're avoiding any sort of engage potential, as Rich doesn't have flash, so the cannon can't really get in. It's like, yes, he can dash cannon, but that's about it. And now looking for a potential flank. Kellen's going to come up once again, but immediately goes back to the death chamber. Just really like the black and white screen. As Gory now in trouble. Peanut going to go golden in the middle of the fight. As you can see, Canyon ignoring the slicing Maelstrom, and ㅣ2021 still looking for more. Ghost has a lot of damage available, but it's a 3v3 as Doctor will be taken down. It's a triple kill for Canyon. Oh my goodness, Nongshim, they just didn't quite have it at the end there, and yes, they will be able to push them out of the base, but at what cost? It looks like this will be.
It's another inhibitor turret
as well.
It's another inhibitor turret. It's guaranteed Cloud Soul here. And I mean, you do see a teleport drop down for Gory. He's going to try to flank here, but now they're just going to collapse onto Peanut.
They're looking for it. This is actually somewhat dangerous, as there's some low health bars, and Gory has a lot of AoE. Peanut looking to try and get some spears to land, but with no vision, the face check is too dangerous.
Well, it does prevent them from doing the Drake for the time being here as well. Nongshim do have the Kellen defense at home for a moment, and they're just going to start this.
Yeah, well, the teleport immediately from Khan as soon as he comes out. 1 second, and Showmaker is going to join him, as Canyon is going to be able to come through. Can he win another fight is the question. The answer is absolutely, as it's even Ghost that picks that one up. And here is the Cloud Soul, as whenever you press R, you're going to be running straight towards that last remaining Nexus turret. As, oh no, Gory's not going to be able to make it. As the Realm Warp is going to be used just for the fun of it.
Well, that
just made sure that there was nowhere that Gory was going to be able to go. Crash down, avoided completely, as now Canyon dives on top of Kellen, but he dredge lines himself away. Doctor's still pretty healthy here, but they still want to try and take him out. Rich in trouble, goes golden and throws down the ultimate as well, but Kellen is the one that's going to be taken out. Khan diving on forward, finds the cannon, but he's got a GA. Goes with no mana, but still going to be able to get it. The 1-2 punch of the satchel into the auto, and the Nexus will go down. ㅣ2021 eventually take this game, and yes, they had a lot of control, but Nongshim, they found a few good moments, and we'll see whether they can hold on to them moving into Game 2.
It was very much a similar scenario to what we saw when Nongshim ended up losing to Afrika in that first game of the previous playoff round they were in round 1. And what's very concerning, as I pointed out before we started the series and as we were in the mid-game of Game 1 here, is that it's a stylistic choice that Nongshim like to play around these skirmishes, around wombo combos, around slicing maelstroms, around Nidalee, Renekton combos, and it's somewhat predictable, and it did work twice. We did see 2 great fights for them. But draft-wise, it's not able to work unless you get a big enough tempo advantage. Like you said, we only saw those 2 attempts in 20 minutes. When we hit that 20-minute mark, they weren't being proactive enough on the map because they were losing solo lanes. They had no control over the map. Peanut, unfortunately, very low impact in this game because the tempo advantage was so against him. They had to just sit back and farm. He can't make those big plays. He can't make that big impact. And going into a best of 5 like this, we didn't see them evolve against Afrika. They didn't change their drafting style almost at all until the end. And ㅣ2021 got to study that one, and now they're already starting off with a very similar style in Game 1. And, you know, something's going to have to change here.
Yeah, and it will, because guess what? They can switch to the other side of the map. So if that Jace is going to be left up again, it should go into the hands of Nongshim Red Force. But I highly expect that Jace is just going to remain permabanned. I thought that, you know, he was just, it's just too consistent, right? We've seen Jace join the ban list basically permanently for the last 3 weeks, for a reason.
Yeah.
And as you can see, I mean, it's so much damage. Look at the damage from Canyon. That is ludicrous. Doubling Peanut's output on a melee jungler as well.
He went in every time, and he was hitting people.
That's nuts.
You know what? I'd actually say, I think based on this playstyle, there's a chance Nongshim pick red side here. I really hope they don't. I really hope they don't, but I think there's a good chance they do. Only time will tell, Atlas.
Yeah, I mean, there's priority pick or it's counter pick. You got to take your pick. You know, that's the options that you have. But the option we have is going to a very short break. When we get back, game number 2 in this best of 5.
기다리
짤짤
이긴드. 야 바텀 가자. 끝났다.
오케이 노플 바텀 가자.
바텀 가자. 나 두꺼비 좀 먹여줘. 만화 없다.
오케이
나이즈 궁대?
날 어차피 이제 노플이라서 버려도 돼.
내가 잡을게.
아
나 먹고 갈게.
근데 나 이번에 캐넨풀 10초 정도 남았 1분 정도 남았다.
이거 근데 제이스 가인 있어서 끝나.
나 멀어.
볼게
오케이.
캐는.
괜찮아.
노텔부터.
아 없어.
아
캐넨 W 1초.
캐넨 노플이야. 캐넨
캐넨 볼게 캐넨.
코니 형 좀 천천히. 걔 노플이야. 이긴 듯?
끝난 거 같아. 우리 가인 있어서
노플.
야 타워 쳐야 돼.
나이스.
나봤다. 타워 치면 끝나.
Yordles say that all roads lead to Bandle City. It's not just our home, it's who we are. Especially us Bandle Scouts, who pledge to faithfully uphold the Scout Code and serve Yordle kind, no matter how impossible the mission. We're all taught to tie knots and build traps. But the most important things? I had to leave home to learn those. The outside world is dangerous. Strange, even. But strangers can surprise you. Give them a chance, and they might even lead you somewhere incredible.
Hello and welcome back everyone to the LCK playoffs. It's round 2 and Damwon Kia Nongsin Radford starts off the second round of the playoff. It's semifinals and we're here joined by Janghyun, Vittori and Kuro. This is a fight to buy a spot in the LCK summer finals and Damwon Kia is starting off with a victory. Nongsin Radford decided to play a very difficult comp and they had to pay the price. Nongsin Radford, they had some decent performance together with that Kennen, but Kennen was picked after seeing that Jay's first pick for Kwon. And as a result, Nongsin Radford, they didn't have priority in the early game. I think they had the confidence to turn the tide around based on their skirmish and team fights. And we did see some back and forth fights between two teams, but I do think that Damwon Kia prepared a very good comp. They banned away the crucial cards that Nongsin Radford found a huge success in the first round of the playoff, Irelia, Diana, and Aphelios. And Showmaker's Rise was able to get through the second ban phase of the pick and ban as well, so Showmaker also had some decent performance. Kai'Sa didn't really find many kills in the early fights as well. However, in other regions as well, you know, Kai'Sa or even Vayne were picked as a counter into Ziggs because this champion can target its damage output onto a specific opponent. But in this game, we had a lot of fights breaking out on the top side of the map. So I do think that Kai'Sa is still a very viable counter pick into Ziggs. Here's the first highlight where Nongsim slipped away their lead around this first Herald teamfight. Renekton with the level 6 ultimate, you know, the first agenda goes over to the favor of Gory, you know. Renekton can have so much control in this fight, so he was looking for the perfect timing to find the right target to open a team fight, but because he was lying in wait for too long, Beryl was able to punish his play. I mean, Nongsin Radford, they were making great decisions. They were getting the Herald. Now they were posting around the objective to start off the fight, but the reaction was so fast and correct from Beryl. It was about the mind game. And then Damwon Kia was the one winning that very detailed competition. However, we did see a miracle teamfight pulled off by Nongsin Radford, so let's take a look at this replay. Damwon Kia, they secured the objective and they went in for a Hail Mary play. Kenyon didn't take the Realm Warp, and then they thought that Nongsim's players were disconnected, especially Kai'Sa was on the mid lane, so Kenyon was also in a really good position to open a flank fight. And then Showmaker, he focus fires onto that Kai'Sa, but Bokdam leaves for another tempo, and that was also very critical for this team fight. As a result, Damwon Kia's players were disconnected, finding the target in this team fight. And Bokdam buying the time was also very effective. Jace was the one getting ulted by the Nautilus, so he didn't have flash to finish up the kill on Rich as well. So we thought that Nongsin Radford, they were closing the gap. However, I think Damwon Kia was the one reading the flow of the game so well. Jace actually didn't have a lot of work to do on the side lane, so he just decided to actually play around the objective in order to force the teleport rotation from the opponents, and they were trying to find the opening to punish those plays. It's time to reveal the player of the game from game number 1. Showmaker and Rise will pick up the player of the game. He did show very impactful plays in this game. He was winning lane, he was doing a lot of work on the side lane as well. He didn't die. And that first kill was also very critical. I think the slice and dice was on cooldown, so Gory was a little bit wondering if he really has to invest his flash to stop the teleport. Kura also think that he shouldn't really use his flash because Rise can actually turn the 1v1 fight around for Renekton as well. So that was a very dicey kind of play for Gory to consider, and he decided not to. And that play using the sweeper was the 1 point as well. I think Showmaker kept showing this kind of a performance on and on in this game because not many players start using the sweeper before heading into the tri-brush. So I think Showmaker was really sharp today, making all the decisions and plays. And Showmaker picked up 8 votes out of 12 with that Rise performance. Daman Kia is having a 1-win lead over Nongshim Rat Force. It's time to check out game number 2.
Thank you so much, Ji-sun, for the analyst desk translation, and welcome back to the caster desk for game number 2. Damwon Kia versus Nongshim. Up 1 game are our world champions and spring champions, trying to make it towards that potential 3-peat opportunity, which will be the first time in LCK history that they have been, that any team has been able to get 3 championships in a row. So they're picking up that domestic title.
They're so close, you know, and well, the first stone they will have to step over, the first part of the bridge to cross will be Nongshim here. In game 1, already a pretty great success. Yes, there were some kind of odd overextensions, there were some risky plays around the Baron pit, but what stayed true the entire time was their ability to control the macro game, the tempo of the game, vision, and also, you know, the plays that we're seeing from Showmaker, his macro sense and his knowing when to realm warp into a fight, when to teleport somewhere is so good. And you have that opportunity into the Renekton matchup because you're going to have a lot of prio, you're going to be able to have that control. These are things that you don't want to give Damwon Kia if you can avoid it, but Nongshim have been prioritizing these team comps where you're trying to get these duos and combos, which is why I was saying they might pick red side. However, thankfully, because I do want to see the other side of the coin here, they will choose blue as you predicted going into game number 2.
Yeah, possibility of that Jace first pick, but I highly expect
it's going to get banned.
Damwon Kia will ban that one away. They had a fair bit of flexibility in their first round of bans, but Aurelia, Diana, or Aphelios certainly are very heavy Nongshim champions. So it's likely that Nongshim might be able to find themselves a draft that they like a little bit more. The thing that I'm very interested in is whether or not, if Jace and Diana are both left up, which gets first picked? Is it going to be a pick for the style of Nongshim, which is the Diana, or is it going to be a pick for making sure that Rich has the most comfort he can possibly get? As we can see him on our screen right now, once again, the Syndra will be banned away, and the Aurelia also going to be denied.
It's a good question. The Rise, Lee Sin, also a go-to pick here potentially. It's not really what Peanut is liking to play right now, but one that obviously has a ton of experience on and is very strong at. They'll ban the Renekton, so Damwon Kia could take whatever is not chosen, but I would have preferred the Jace here.
Me too, but the Lee Sin, I think that like this is more Nongshim valuing the Lee Sin for Peanut, because we know that Peanut, fantastic at Lee Sin, going to be a very different playstyle, but also
deny pick.
Yeah, I think it's mainly a denial. Canyon has been extraordinarily good at this champion, and now Damwon, it's their turn to be able to pick away the Jace. They will also be able to, you know, find a potential jungler to answer that of the Lee Sin, unless they want to keep their options open. I wouldn't mind, you know, Jace Ziggs, Jace Leona, something like that.
I mean, the synergy between the Jace and the Ziggs is so extremely high, but this time they're left with the possibility of playing the LeBlanc here. Now, this also does put your solo lanes face up and does deny a lot of your opportunities to counterpick that second solo lane later on. So even though I think the Showmaker LeBlanc is very exciting and I'd love to watch it here, and it will be banned away if they don't get it in this first phase, the Ziggs is the safer option here.
I think it needs to be picked, right? I think the LeBlanc needs to be picked away because then Damwon Kia get to go into the next round of bans with the LeBlanc in their back pocket, and they can ban away things like the Lissandra that can give her a little bit of trouble.
It also makes the Rise pick a little bit weaker here. You know, you don't worry about that one as much, so it's kind of a soft ban on that in a lot of senses, because that was another pick that, you know, could have gone through alternatively here for Nongshim, but now you have kind of picked it away in a sense. And the last pick here likely to go to something like a Varus, or if they want to go a scaling route for AD carry, it's also an opportunity. But you could. This is not what I expected. I was going to say you could go something like Leona and just kind of wait and see, but it's going to pick the cannon directly. So we're going to have that same matchup very likely in the top lane.
Everything
the
a bit
Leona
face
goes
up
over
here, but yeah, the Leona does make a lot of sense here for Damwon Kia. Doesn't show their hand as far as that mid lane either, but this gives Nongshim the ability to take away some potential options that Showmaker may have into the LeBlanc. Don't know what his preferred choice would be, because you don't necessarily see Showmaker as a Lissandra player or anything like that, but certainly could pick that one up if they would like to.
Ezreal ban.
Yep, some Dokdom bans to come through
Yeah.
here. Some respect on certainly the star player of Nongshim.
We have a lot of burst with the LeBlanc. The Lee Sin has a lot of potential to get picks as well. And so what you want to shore up now as Nongshim when you are looking towards your final picks here and your AD carry is consistent damage throughput. That is going to be exactly what Ezreal is going to offer you. And also what something like a Jinx could offer you is, you mentioned the Lissandra, that does get removed here, so no opportunities for Showmaker now to have that extremely strong counter pick.
Yep, I do like this for Damwon though. They sort of force out some of these anti-LeBlanc bans, which will free up Canyon as well as the Yuumi going to be banned away here. Lucian is still available, interestingly enough.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's necessarily going to be something that Showmaker wants to take into a LeBlanc, but maybe, just maybe, certainly can dodge out of the chains with your Relentless Pursuit, and you do have a fair bit of control in the laning phase, but does become LeBlanc food towards the later stages of the game. It's Twisted Fate.
Another way to really lock down every champion that Nongshim has put onto the board here very easily, point and click with that gold card. And the Rise will come through, even though it's not a matchup that you feel great about. It's not a very bad matchup either. It is going to give you that same sort of potential macro control that we saw from Showmaker last game, where you're always where you need to be at the exact right time. Win those skirmishes in the lanes as time ticks down here, and they will lock it in. But the question now becomes, what does Dokdom play here? Because Thresh is still open, and so you can go for something like the Jinx Thresh here, and I would really like it. I think it kind of rounds his composition out very nicely.
I don't know whether Thresh is the support they want. Maybe they'll want to focus on a bit more engage output.
Potential macro control that we saw from Showmaker last game, where you're always where you need to be at the exact right time. Win those skirmishes in the lanes as time ticks down here, and they will lock it in. But the question now becomes, what does Dokdom play here? Because Thresh is still open, and so you can go for something like the Jinx Thresh here, and I would really like it. I think it kind of rounds his composition out very nicely.
I don't know whether Thresh is the support they want. Maybe they'll want to focus on a bit more engage output as Samira.
Okay, Samira Rel.
Okay.
Yeah, we were talking about this last game, and it's going to come through.
That's a way to do it. As Rel, fantastic engage opportunity with the Crash Down and the Magnet Storm, of course, and Samira is going to augment that.
And the Trundle we saw banned away last game will actually come through, and this time not as the support, but as the jungle pick here for Canyon. So they have a lot of ways to set up for the poke and consistent damage they have. I really do prefer Damwon Kia's draft for the same reasons I did the last game. But if you look at Nongshim's comp, there's a lot of burst, there's a lot of pick potential. There's so many ways to pick off solo champions if they are caught out of position. And Barrel's on one that's very difficult to kill, so that's a good sign for Damwon Kia. But when you look at Nongshim's comp, it's a different version of what we've already seen before. You're looking to go for a Crash Down to a Magnet Storm. LeBlanc goes in, you press a Samira ult button, and you look for the Wombo combo.
And that's what Nongshim like to do, right? They like to set up for these Wombos. And very much looking forward to seeing whether they can actually do it this time. I feel like it's a comp that's gauged a little bit more early game, but still plays the same style that Nongshim have shown that they are so good at. So I think this type of adaptation is exactly what they need, but they need the play to back it up, right? They need to be able to come out with a faster acceleration, change cards between games, Yeah,
we're going to have to shift gears up, you know? We're going to have to be looking for
It's the Dolphin bike. They need the Dolphin bike, not the Mark bike this time around, I think.
Because Damwon Kia have the better late game. And if you give them freedom to actually go through that mid game unopposed as they did last game, then they're just going to run away with it. And that's what's so scary about Damwon Kia right now, and always, to be totally frank, when they have been dominant. This is the kind of play you don't want to face. It's the kind of draft that is so terrifying.
Yeah, and also Trundle quite good into the Lee Sin in the early stages. Of course, anyone that is melee that tries to do physical damage is going to have a rough time into Trundle. So looking forward to seeing how Canyon's going to play this one out as he's gone for Predator Trundle.
Predator Trundle, that's
the
a rare
trolls have got out from under the bridge and they are on a rampage, desperate to try and get in there and really cause some havoc. So in the early game, this is going to give a lot of ganking potential to Canyon, who can get in there real quickly with not only the W that he can put down, but also moving real fast with the Predator. Like it, like it.
This is the best season that Nongshim as an organization has ever had, by the way, just for those who didn't know. This is the first time they've ever made the second round of playoffs, even since the Dynamics days. And it's a huge moment for Nongshim because they've gotten so many fans this season. You can see Peanut in that camera shot there for just a moment, is smiling, helping cheering up at this team that had a struggle in Game 1. You can see he's the only face that is somewhat cheery at the moment, but this would be such a huge moment for Nongshim if they could go to the Grand Finals. I think that there's a lot of pressure on these players, especially someone like Rich, who was basically told by everyone, you will never be good at League of Legends. Heroes was the easy game. This is the hard one. And when he played for Genji at the beginning, he was ridiculed by a lot of people, had a rough start to his career in Dynamics. And now, you know, he's just 3 wins away from going to an LCK Grand Finals.
Oh, exactly. They could theoretically do it. However, time will tell. They are currently down in this series for now. And I do want to talk about stakes just a little bit going beyond this LCK final that obviously both of these teams are fighting desperately for the reasons you mentioned for Nongshim, as well as the fact that Damwon Kia want to do what no other team has done, which is pick up 3 LCK titles in a row, which will be absolutely huge for them. But outside of that, if you're like a T1 fan or a Gen G fan, both of those teams will be guaranteed going to Worlds if Damwon Kia wins this series. It will be Damwon Kia, Gen G, and T1. All 3 of them will be in there. As a flash immediately from Ghost here on the bottom side of the map. Is Kellen taking some damage? Doctarm as well, really asserting his dominance here with the Samira, the other option that he has as far as countering out the Ziggs. Yeah, you got to respect that level 2. Leona doesn't have it yet. You cannot turn on that. That was a really nice satchel there. Unfortunately, no way to punish. As Peanut looks for a really early level 3 gank here onto Khan. Yeah, and look at his wraparound, man. There is so much space that he has bought for himself. As Rich is down to half health, this could potentially be dangerous. As there is the empowered Shock Blast, gets the hammer throw back as well as Khan, understanding now that things have become dangerous, does get into the brush there as now Rich is going to immediately flash. Can we find the autos? Yes! First blood goes to Khan. Now Canyon trying to get here in time. Will he be able to find the pillar is the question. The flash forward from Peanut, but now Canyon is on him. The chomp's going to come down and Canyon says, yep, that's going to be enough, as Rich is going to teleport back to lane, and Khan should do the same thing. Neither of these top laners now with their teleports, as Gari making his way north, but that's exactly where the trolls are, which is dangerous territory. Yeah, that's a scary rotation he made there. Does end up taking a ton of damage, actually, on his way back to turret. And now Canyon can actually steal this extremely important blue buff away from Peanut. The timing of this works out so well as Peanut paths back to jungle, so that's going to be a lot of gold and experience stolen away, as 12-5 career here for Canyon on the Trundle, who's just leapt right back in the meta. Peanut's like, ooh, that's a bad Sonic Wave to toss. You're like, ooh, feels so bad. But you know there was a possibility. Look at the farm. He spent so much time going for that gank. His jungle's getting stolen. He's doubled. And he was there for the counter gank as well. That's the thing that's so difficult, right? Is because Peanut got down so low, he had to go for the reset. And that buys Canyon so much more space as the bottom side Rift Scuttler is still available. There's some chains going to land here onto Showmaker, who tries to throw some flux back and will be able to do so. And Peanut, look at where he's going right now. He's like, well, there's a scuttle, but that's all there really is, because there's no real camps he could steal away from Canyon at this moment in time. The lane is pushed too far on the bottom side of the map for him to actually make any impact there. The lane was pushed for Gory, so, you know, even though he looked for the chains, there's nothing he could do to empower the mid lane. So Peanut is just kind of
caught between a rock and a hard place right now in terms of his farm, and now Rich is all alone.
Yeah, we're looking for a dive potentially. Showmaker also roaming up. Shock Blast going to hit, and now Canyon's going to come through. Sticks Rich between the wall. A beautiful pillar, and Khan is going to get another kill.
I mean, you don't talk about pillar mechanics all too often, but when they're that good, I mean,
that's the dream.
That was
pillar
the best
placement.
pillar. Like, he's unable to move. He's unable to act. He does not have flash. You know he can't flash the pillar. And Rich played that safe, but like, he doesn't have 6. You know there's an opportunity for this gank. You know Peanut has to be elsewhere because he was stolen his camps. There's no camps for him to be taking around the side of the map. So if Peanut's hovering here, he's wasting even more time. So you know he's not going to be there. It's such an easy play to make, but the pillar is just the cherry on top.
That's glorious. We're going to see this outplay as well. Khan really, even also getting the siege minion. And, I know a lot of us, Jonas Strong especially, love that. Gets the flash. And now he's like, yeah, you can take me if you want. Not too worried about it.
He even gets one more auto off. Almost gets the second there. And yeah, Peanut does have flash, but loses it there. And he calls it out. Look at this pillar.
Oh,
You were just out of luck, my dude.
yeah, it's just not what you want. Also, Pillar of Filth being in use there. Love it. Very, very happy about that one. Not Frozen Domain either. It is the old one that I did get reminded of recently on Twitter, but have once again forgotten, which is quite sad. But it is Pillar of Filth that really does stick in the majority of people's minds.
Jason Trundle, another pairing you don't really think about all too much, but it is very great when you have, you know, a lead as the Jace. The Trundle becomes so oppressive when you are stomping that lane.
You
The
also
pillar is so great. At
that
doing
stat is weird though, right? Because
It is a bit of a deep grab.
yeah, it's also taking from
Two extremely strong champions.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
from the second half of the summer split where Trundle decided to debut at like ridiculous power level, as well as the Jace being so strong. So I don't know whether it's a synergy stat, but it's definitely these two champions are good stat.
I like it when Jace is having a... Okay, hold that thought. Canyon's here.
No flash, remember, as he does have the ultimate, but he doesn't have his life. So you need to have your life in order to get yourself some kills. So that's another one. On to Rich.
This is...
Can't afford to be up that far.
Yeah, he can't afford to be up that far. Flashless still. And, you know, Canyon's going to have level 6. Doesn't even need to use it, of course, in this scenario because it just takes so much damage. Rich's ultimate is very, you know, great at escaping against one target, but not against two. And like I was going to say right before we went into that exchange, is Jace is great when he's winning with Trundle. Trundle helps him win so much more. And guess what? He's winning 1,300 gold the lead in the top matchup right now. And this is where things get unplayable for the Kennen, who is just now about to get his flashback online. Let's look at Showmaker. Like, he's taking a trip to the top side of the map. They have so much control right now. And as Rich, you hit 6, so you feel fairly safe into the Jace, but you're not alone.
No, you might be safe into the Jace, but you're not safe into the Jace plus his troll buddy.
Exactly.
Coming from the river. As Peanut's going to start off this Rift Herald under full vision and knowledge of ㅅ Kia, as now Gori moving on forward here, looking for Beryl, but Beryl has the Eclipse. He's going to be fine. Ghost doesn't have teleport and is on the bottom side of the map. So it looks like ㅅ Kia are just happy to give this one up. Remember what Ziggs can do to turrets?
Yeah, they can.
Yeah, real difficult.
They can look to maybe try to steal here, but it's just too risky. I say that.
I mean, Canyon might as well move in to try and go for something. They're at least not going to give it over for free. At least they are in the area.
Yeah.
But it should be 2 plates going over to Ghost here as Beryl makes his way back down towards bottom lane. And I don't mind this decision from ㅅ, right? Like, you concede the fact that you don't have as much control on that top side to make sure that the Ziggs can be as happy as possible.
Plus, I mean, there's no reason to give a team fight to Nongshim where they can suddenly get back into the game, especially a Samira comp like this where those types of scrappy fights are where she does best, and if you give her that early lead, she's going to be so happy to push that power into the mid game. Whereas you just go, okay, well, you are just going to leave my Ziggs down there. One of my strongest late game tools is just going to get that gold guaranteed. I don't have to take the risk. And so, yes, there could have been a fight, but you don't need to risk. As was what I was talking about.
Showmaker's here now as well as Rich underneath the turret. The subjugate goes down. There's the slicing maelstrom, and Rich knows that he's dead. Doesn't even opt in for the flash. Canyon still at half health after tanking up that turret. Is now Nongshim looking for a bit of a pickup onto Ghost here. They will be able to get there. As the ulti comes out, the turret not going to be able to do enough. So really good answer to the aggression that Damwon Kia are putting down, but it's still going to be first turret, right? I feel like Damwon Kia still win.
No plate here for Gory, unfortunately, as Barrel holds it down, and Gory actually also misses the chain there. In fact, finds himself in danger now if he does not get back. But that's going to be the whole turret versus just a plate, so...
Whoa, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot of money going over. Look at Rich's CS, or the lack thereof, unfortunately. He's 0-4-1, and this is not his fault. Now, yes, that second death was kind of a bit on him because he was way too far up. The first death was a little bit of a miscalculation, but the last two is just the ball starts rolling, right? I think that's part of why that stat of this duo was shown, is Trundle just makes it so easy. This is not the first time Showmaker's made a trip to the top side. This time it actually leads to a kill. And Nongshim trying to come down here and punish, but Ghost is playing it safe. As there's just nothing you could do in this scenario as Rich. You have flash, but where are you flashing? Like, where are you going?
Yeah, I'm like imagining like myself as Rich, right? I'm like, how do I get out of this situation? And then the calculation in your mind just returns error.
Yeah, there's like, exactly, you play that scenario out 100 different times, and 100 different times, they're all the same, actually. 100 different iterations, I should say, because
like,
that scenario is never different.
I die in a different position.
Yeah.
That's the result that you get from that one, as it's not exactly optimal, as you guys may have inferred.
Damwon have not taken any Drakes just yet, but...
Oh, God. This is what happens, right?
Yeah, like, Trundle is so oppressive, too.
This duo of Khan and Canyon are just the Bash Brothers, to go back to a Mighty Ducks reference that I love using. As Shelly going to pop her noggin into the bottom side outer turret. That's going to be some extra money over to Docdom, but as you can see, there are a couple of plates missing from that bottom outer as well. And I was going to state also, like, ideally, you'd probably want to use that Rift Herald to try and get Rich somewhat back into the game, but there was just no way that they could get a minion wave towards that turret.
It's never going to happen. I think the better idea is to get one of your Duckdom or your Gory's fed.
Okay, Gory's passive is now being popped. He has teleport, but looks like Damwon Kia are going to be happily giving up this first Cloud Soul.
This is where you can't
Cloud
fight.
Drake, sorry.
Yeah, this is where you can't fight as Damwon, because if you do fight the Samira right when she hits her power spike,
oh, welcome back to the lane, Gory.
But
half of your health gone.
If you do fight as Samira in this scenario, against the Samira in this scenario, and she ends up getting a double kill around the Drake over just a solo Cloud, when you're very happy to let this game go on as long as possible with the composition that Damwon Kia has and the map control they have, because it's not giving up this Drake doesn't mean, oh, well, we're giving Nongshim a way back into this game. That's not what this Drake means. It's kind of a consolation prize for Nongshim at this point, because they wanted that fight, and they're not going to get it.
Well, Distortion has to be used defensively to avoid that Shock Blast. It's another plate that's going to go over here with only a minute and a half left on those plates. Docdom trying to assert some dominance here on the bottom side, as Ghost has a level advantage right now, largely due to the fact that Beryl has been absent for the majority of the game. Just doesn't really like hanging out in the lane when there's a Ziggs down there. Of course, Ziggs pretty capable of taking care of himself.
Unfortunately, Leona just has so little impact in that, or rather, yeah, the Leona's going to have so little impact there. You'd rather just not steal the experience away. You just want him to get as much value as possible. Solo, get those plates solo.
It's also the main reason why you put mages in the mid lane, right? Is because they like the experience so much. So you may as well just allow Beryl to find some freedom. He needs to get experience somewhere. As you can see, level 6 at the moment, behind Kellen just a little bit, and that is why Ghost is just that little bit further ahead.
I think for Damwon, the only way they lose this game is if they give Docdom and Gory an opportunity to carry a fight at this stage, right? Like, if you look at the items right now, you've got the, first item for the Samira. She's got her Infernal Shield Bow, which is going to be so strong at this point in the game. Also, stopwatch is at the ready for Kellen, so you have a really awesome combo there. At this stage, LeBlanc is still very powerful. If she can help finish off those targets, then Docdom can actually, end up just basically wiping the whole team by himself in a crazy skirmish like that. Also, Rich, he still has his ultimate. He doesn't have items, but he has his ultimate, so he actually can be quite useful in a 5v5 fight. So as Damwon Kia, as long as you don't mess this up, if you just avoid fighting for a little bit longer, you just become more powerful. And they're not just sitting back and doing nothing, they're just avoiding fights while also getting turret plates and getting turrets down and taking more control over the map. They just don't want to ever be in a 5v5 right now because the risk is too high. I'm not saying they would always lose the 5v5 fight, but if Nongshim wins one, they're suddenly back in the game. So you just avoid that condition for them.
Yeah.
And you're golden right now as Damwon Kia.
And I've loved how they've navigated around exactly that playstyle, right? Like, give up the first Rift Herald, but make sure that you've got Ghost there on the bottom side. Gets 2 plates, negates that particular trade of positioning around the map. Canyon's also just going to come on through here, and with all of that extra control of the map that they've got gained for themselves with how strong Khan is, with being able to take out that outer turret on the top side, they get full control, so it's going to be a Herald apiece for both of these teams, as now Gori has to stand here and try his very best to avoid the plethora of items being hurled towards him, and not going to be able to do so and look after that turret, as Ghost is just having a great time, man.
Yeah, and now, you know, Showmaker is starting to get some side lane pressure done, getting some extra gold here. It's actually shoring up some of the very small lead you see from Nongshim there. If you look at the gold graph, like, it is very even in terms of the mid lane, the bottom lane, slight advantage to Ghost, but he's got those extra plates, but it's not an out-of-control game.
Oh, it's an advantage to Doctom. He's actually being able to do pretty well.
And it's Nongshim having control of, you know, that bottom side in the middle just ever so slightly. It's not a massive lead, but it is where they are at their strongest right now. And as DAM1 you just want to navigate around that, because Samira is going to be much weaker than a Ziggs in the late game. So don't fight her now, fight her later is the plan.
Well, Gori, okay, does have to get around this pillar, but does so. And back to, I believe, his initial distortion is, oh, love this. Using it very similar to that of a Cannon Barrage to allow that tempo and macro advantage to continue. Mega Inferno Bomb used just to stop Rich from being able to do anything. He does have a flanking teleport opportunity, and in goes the Magnet Storm Barrel. Not in position here, as they are just going to be able to eliminate Khan and get the shutdown goal. Barrel, beautiful Solar Flare to avoid Rich, as the disengage will ensue, but still a win for Nongshim, and I like that. Click their fingers and start an engagement, and that is how you're able to neutralize. Really nicely done as Showmaker teleports towards that top side to catch the next wave.
Yeah, this is the potential you have with this style of composition. You can get those picks, and then you can start to get some of the map control away with it. Unfortunately, they're not going to be able to punish Showmaker, but they will be able to take a 2-Drake lead here. DAM1 don't want to take this fight for the same reasons we mentioned before, but also you're down 1 Jace at the moment. So Showmaker does hard push top instead of trying to group up for a skirmish here. But this is the kind of play where you see, okay, there's an extension here, there's an opportunity, and then Kellen just makes the call, I'm going in, collapse on him, blow him up, and they get the stun, the crash down there, it's perfectly done. Attract Repel connects, and that's a dead Jace. Slight overextension there from DAM1 and suddenly Nongshim, a little bit more power on the map.
Yeah, it definitely was Khan being a little bit overexcited with where he was situated on the map. So certainly a great capitalization there, especially from Kellen. Steps into that brush and then immediately he's like, it's storming time. I got my magnets at the ready.
Yeah, and you know, Rich starting to get some gold. You know, he's not going to be a carry in this game, but his ult button will still work.
If he can hold players in position while Doctom spins around and kills a bunch of them, then he is going to be very happy with the outcome of this game. And this is how Rich plays Kennen.
Yeah,
right?
no, it's kind of funny because Kennen can be very oppressive if he gets an early lead and can be straight up a carry and can do tons and tons of damage. You can always shape team fights later on when you're extremely fed as Kennen. But even in a game like this, and many of the games Rich played on Kennen against Afrika in the first round, you're very much happy to still just press ult and be a threat. It's not about how much damage you do, it's how much damage you allow your teammates to do. So he's going for an early Zhonya's because he knows that is going to give him the most opportunity to guarantee that he lives through those stuns to add a little bit more extra power. The Seeker's Arm Guard also going to make him a little bit more survivable.
Yeah, helping him in the lane was why that initial purchase came in. Yeah. I would like to see the Zhonya's as quickly as possible, though.
I think he might build it first, to be honest.
Yeah, I think Dash Cannon might have to come in at the beginning, but we'll see where he does decide to go.
Because at this stage, like, your Dash Cannon is going to be so good for closing the gap and hitting those ults, but Zhonya's allows you so much more opportunity when you're
guaranteeing the stun.
Yeah, it's like it's both options are, kind of awkward at this stage when you're 0-4. Like, you're not happy with either, but we'll make the choice here shortly.
Yep, still 2,000 gold the lead here for DAM1, so still in control. As now we've got the Ocean Rift, my personal favorite for aesthetics. Not my favorite, of course, because Cloud Soul is my absolute favorite. But as far as the Rift and the changes, very happy. As Damwon looking to try and grab themselves an inner turret. Pillar of Filth is down as Rich taking way too much damage there. The satchel was beautiful as he does avoid the Mega Inferno Bomb. I was blind from Ghost, may as well go for it there as Showmaker going to avoid the Q from Peanut. But as we can see, Kennen able to back away. Kellen, oh my goodness, I mean this Jace damage is just ludicrous. As Gory once again trying to get themselves into a spot where they can do some work. No teleport available. Oh my goodness, goodbye.
You're dead.
Yep, Peanut just popped immediately. Another pillar comes down, another Magnet Storm comes in as Kellen immediately blows up this time. The Samira can't do anything either as Canyon goes golden. Gory teleported in, oh no! The hammer does drop, and goodbye LeBlanc. The answer from Damwon this time is just too good.
I mentioned Gory's name right before that fight because he was pushing mid. He had his teleport available, but decides not to come down. And if
the
you
question mark from Rich, he's like, where did my friends go?
And if you stay there as the LeBlanc, and you're not going to be able to really accomplish anything. Yeah, you're going to get some farm, but your team needs you there if you're going to take a fight, because this is not going to get easier. As we've said so many times, it feels like, you know, these first two games have been very identical on how the comps function. And you need to be there to offer that extra damage when the Magnet Storm happens, because the fact that he's not means that this is just, I mean, there's nothing coming from this exchange here. Like, he's still pushing, and Peanut dies, and then you're like, well, I'm under a pillar here. Kellen goes in 2v4, and he teleports, but everybody's dead before he gets here. You got to be here way faster than this, and it's not easy to teleport in because you teleport on top of that turret, you die, actually. They kill you instead of Peanut, or both, but you've got to be with your team.
The hammer interruption saved Canyon's life and killed Gory at the same time. Oh god, that was too good.
And if Gory doesn't come, it's also better, like at the end. So he comes at the worst possible moment. And yeah, I mean, you mentioned the hammer interrupt there is really nice. It's just so much synergy for Damwon Kia in these types of scenarios. And
yeah,
you've got to commit somewhere else on the map, but you don't have side lane pressure. You've got a LeBlanc pushing mid. She isn't going to threaten any turrets, and you need that extra damage, because if she's not going to be fighting with you now, you're not scaling up for a LeBlanc who's just going to be like, well, now that I've got all my items, I'm going to carry this game. It's not going to work like that in this game unless you get really lucky or Damwon Kia make huge mistakes.
Ooh, good blade well to avoid the shock blast there. Of course, Samira with some inbuilt anti-poke. We quite like that, but Showmaker going to walk into this brush. Spotted out there by Rich as this Ocean Soul Point available for Nongshim. They are in position, but so is Damwon this time around. Subjugate always going to be there to augment Canyon's health pool. Can he actually get in and try and stop this one? He walks on forward, but he's not going to be able to deny the Soul Point as Rich now gets through with a massive slicing Maelstrom, but the Mega Inferno Bomb is also there. Peanut tries to dive forward, the immediate interruption on the S rank, and it's full denial once again. Gory now the one left without any friends. And Nongshim in this game aren't stealing any team fights.
No, not stealing any team fights away, and they're definitely not going to be stealing this Baron that Damwon Kia is going to get handed to on a golden platter after that last
exchange.
It's
a golden one? Oh
yeah,
no, that's worse than a silver one.
Yeah. It's like a little bit more valuable, but you don't really want to eat off of it. It's very awkward, but Damwon Kia are going to get it.
It's not a practical one, but it's a nice one.
Yeah. It's not as shiny, but it's a little bit gaudy, in fact. But no, it is actually a silver platter in this case. When you watch this engage for Nongshim, you can see how this team composition really could work, right? Magnet Storm, Slicing Maelstrom, the duck down presses are, but they're so far behind that they can't live long enough to set this up. And the instant interrupt, as you pointed out, onto the Samira ult, the Inferno trigger there, means that he just doesn't even have an opportunity to wipe anybody. If they could live longer, if they could do the damage faster because they had better items, because they weren't this far behind, this team fight looks beautiful. And you understand why Nongshim drafted this, but they lost so much control again in the second game that they can't make it work.
Doctor could possibly be in trouble. Does have Kellen here. Okay, all right, Damwon, you just chill out a little bit here. As Dr. you know, doesn't even get within a screen of his opposition, but they put him on 100 health. Yeah, no, you're not getting anywhere near this inner turret. Now they're looking to try and break the base here on the top side of the map. Impatient, Damwon Kia, but of course they've got a satchel charge that doesn't care about your backdoor bonus.
They also, I mean, they might be able to get 3 inhibitors off this. If they get any kills, the bottom inhibitor turret is already down.
Yeah. And they've got Showmaker pushing in this mid lane.
It's really easy.
That minion wave right here.
Yeah, it's really easy to just rotate right over after you get the first 2. If you can get any picks here, it's so tragic, honestly, for Nongshim at this point.
And the poke is just devastating.
Yeah.
Damwon Kia, if they land a shock blast, that's someone on half health. It doesn't matter who it is. As well as if Ghost is able to get these bouncing bombs in position. And then, if anyone tries to dive in on top, they've got the pillar, they've got the satchel charge.
And they have so much work.
Oh God, Gory! Yeah, no. No more distortions, please. It's too scary.
Rich can't flank, he can't get behind this team. There's no place for him to teleport to.
Yeah, I feel
That
like
one ward is the only place.
We've witnessed Damwon Kia hit critical mass in this game, right now sitting at just under a 10,000 gold lead. The inner turret wasn't taken, but the inhibitor top lane is. They go now for a reset. Serpent's Fang already done for Khan. And he's got a Hex Drinker as well, not wanting to be blown up by either Rich or Gory, and I can absolutely respect that.
Yeah, I mean, he did get blown up that one time, so he's very happy to try to shore up that resistance.
Killing very far away here.
He'll be able to get back, but he's not going to be able to engage like he would have maybe wanted to flank over and do for that follow-up Slicing Maelstrom. Look at where Gory is.
And Nongshim have to pull the trigger as soon as possible before any of this incessant poke is going to land. Dofdam already down relatively low, wanting to lifesteal it back up as best he can as that shock blast, each of them so dangerous. Damwon just wanting to keep this one moving forward, and every moment the Nongshim aren't engaging, it's a good time as Dofdam will take a fair bit of damage there from the Mega Inferno Bomb. Kellen can't engage anymore either, as he is just too low, and that is going to be the second inhibitor. The third one, like you were talking about, Wolf,
is wide
on
open.
The table. Yeah.
But they are going to back off here. They've gotten a ton of extra gold from this. Looks like they want to go for a reset. They have full control of the top side of the map vision-wise, so it's very easy to just set up for this, back, grab more items, come back down to the bottom side of the map. The fact that Anathemas is up here for Canyon makes him so frustrating to deal with because he can get on top of anybody and just say no to their ability to do anything. And it's really, really oppressive now, the amount of control that Damwon Kia have.
Oh my goodness! Can you write down Khan on your little POG vote thingy?
I wait till the last moment, all right? Because Canyon's been a big help in this as well, but...
And it is your vote, it's not mine. That's been made perfectly clear. I'm not salty about it at all. Absolutely.
I'm still
picks up the Void stuff.
I'm still looking between the two of them. As Peanut's got hands off the keyboard right now, you could see the state of this game is very much apparent.
Yeah, it's a roughie. Canyon taking a bit of damage here. He's got Subjugate, doesn't need to use it. Just puts down the Pillar of Filth. And now looking to try and deny this Ocean Soul. Ocean Soul would actually feel really good if you're Nongshim. So if Peanut can steal it away, maybe it's going to help them with a potential ultimate defense. We know that this team is pretty good at playing ultra-long games. But Damwon Kia not really going to give them the option. They've got a full monopoly on the vision. And Peanut, he's coning away. He's not going to be able to get through here.
And like I was mentioning before, the fact that Nongshim gets a Drake advantage doesn't matter that much in this game because Damwon Kia don't care about it. They're so far ahead. And the Soul is an Ocean Soul against a comp that has so much burst damage that you just don't even care about the regen. There's not really a regen in the equation when you're sitting underneath your inhibitor turrets or Nexus turrets trying to defend. You can just go to the fountain at that point, and that's where we are in this game.
Yeah. Oh no, there's no stopwatch available for Rich. No Zhonya's there either, so
he's only got a
time
flash.
He takes damage, right? Like, he's just not going to be alive long enough to get anything, as there's the Mega Inferno Bomb. It's going to land a fair bit of damage. Kellen immediately going to get interrupted and blown up by Ghost. Peanut tries to get into the backline for a kick, but he's not going to be able to reposition. Brilliant exhaust onto the Samira. Denies all of that possible damage. And it's a triple kill for the Jace. Damwon Kia will destroy Nongshim in game number 2 and now earn themselves match point and an invitation to try and get towards that three-peat for domestic titles.
It's just been such a classy game from Damwon Kia. Both games, game 1 and 2, you're playing for the late game, you're playing for scaling up, and you're playing around both in the draft but also on the Rift. The win conditions that Damwon Kia have set, you punish Rich early, then you just take control of the map. We see this time and time again. It's what Afrika was almost able to pull off against Nongshim in several of those games in that first round victory. But when you have Khan playing Jace and getting these big shock blasts off, getting a huge lead because Canyon is camping the lane, it's just so hard to come back. And Duckdom played a great game, don't get me wrong, but his team wasn't able to get the damage done enough for him to actually get those kills as a Samira in the team fights. And these are the kinds of games where you can very clearly see that this is not a bad draft for Nongshim. You can very clearly see why the draft could work. But if it doesn't work for the same reasons Game 1's draft doesn't work, you pick blue side. I want to see a big change in playstyle here from Nongshim. Not going all in on the same exact style we saw them use against Afrika, and now are failing to find success against Damwon Kia.
And I love that you mentioned that we've got to see a different playstyle, because I think the draft changed enough. It's just Nongshim didn't change with their draft in order to be able to utilize it correctly. I'm glad you spoke about Duckdom. I don't think this one was necessarily his fault. However, if you are Nongshim in this game, you have to find some more early to mid-game skirmishes for this Samira to start getting herself online. And yes, he laned very well. Yes, he was able to mitigate some of what the Ziggs was able to do in the earlier stages. But in the late game, I mean, what you gonna do? Look at these damage numbers. It was just Khan versus Nongshim.
Yeah.
That's exactly how Damwon approached this game. They're like, all right, well, if Khan just gets to a point where he's ridiculous, then you can stop Nongshim from ever being able to engage. Because if he lands a shockwave, it's like a shock blast, sorry. It felt like a shockwave, felt like an ultimate in this game. But if he lands one, then there's just no engaging from Nongshim.
Well, that was the thing about Damwon Kia. They knew, let's just not fight unless we have the perfect fight. Avoid those fights where Nongshim have their power spike in the mid game. They did it so well. And, I mean, it's time for something to change here, Atlas, or I think we might have a 3-0 on our hands.
It may just happen. There have been a few votes for it as far as our predictions were concerned, but Damwon Kia still need to win this next game. We'll see which side Nongshim are going to select, but we'll find out right after this break.
기둥 막을 수 있으면 막아봐. 들어가지만 가.
야, 각볼게. 야, 캐넨 쪽.
스턴. 나이스. 렐렐렐렐렐렐렐.
좋아.
리즌 노플.
나 안 죽어.
힌드.
네.
3이라. 나이스.
네.
끝났다.
나이스.
나이스.
마임쇼 한번 하고 올게. 기다려.
오케이. 야, 춤.
야, 끄지 마봐.
트런들 춤.
야, 춤. 일단.
빨리.
마임.
너무 그건데? 빨리 끝내.
메탈 공격해놔야 돼.
너무.
야, 내일 잡던가 그냥.
가비.
이 정도만 하자.
오케이.
Damwon Kia added another win on their board in game number 2. Damwon Kia is just one win away from making it into the finals. Nongsin Red Force, they had to win the early game with this comp. I think Nongsin Red Force, they kind of have some kind of an obvious team play caller. They give up their laning phase and they focus on the team fight. And Damwon Kia, they read this gameplay like a book and they focused on the lane priority and then connected that lead into team fight stage. And they were just smacking them with their thick wallets. And Damwon Kia is keep making their statement that laning phase is important. Nongsin Red Force, they had some options. First, whether they're gonna blind pick Jace for Rich, or second, whether they're gonna first pick Lee Sin. And also, they wanted to add more pressure with that LeBlanc pick on the mid lane. Damwon Kia, they did hover some multiple champions, but they went back to the Jace, Ziggs, the power poke combo. And also the last pick Trundle was so good. That pillar actually enabled and augmented the poke potential of Damwon Kia's Jace and Ziggs. Heading into the teamfight state with some evenly scaled kind of status, Damwon Kia, they couldn't really find a lot of opening into Nongsim's comp, but Damwon Kia, they were able to get ahead early on. And this time around, Trundle took Predator instead of the Prestige attack. Some of them off-meta rune choice in order to help his teammates on lanes. And because of that, Nongsin Red Force, they just didn't stand a chance against Damwon Kia's comp. The Trundle pick was the final puzzle to round out Damwon Kia's comp. Nongsin Red Force, they once again focus on the team fights. So let's take a look at the first replay where their team fight didn't go as they would desired. I think Showmaker was really on point. He was hiding behind that wall, away from the opponent's vision. And then clean combo with the endless chain CC, secured the kill onto the Lee Sin, and then they picked up multiple kills after the re-engage from Rel and Samira. And also, Gory went in with Distortion to finish the kill behind the wall, kill onto the Trundle behind the wall, but Jace also denied that play perfectly. He saved his Trundle and also got a kill onto that LeBlanc. Damwon Kia, they had a big wallet, they had well-fed champions, they knew how to capitalize on the lead. This is a classic Damwon Kia, winning with their money, their cash in their pocket. Nongsin Red Force, they were desperate to find an opening, to find some team fights to turn the game around, but they just could not. Damwon Kia never let them walk away with a team fight victory. So here's a second replay for the point analysis. Rel was looking for that one angle, that wombo combo. He finds two of the Damwon Kia players, but he has no follow-up from his teammates. The Cannon was the second one to re-engage and follow for that Rel, but he has no damage. And then Rel, after Rel and Cannon dies, Samira goes in, her S-rank ultimate gets denied in a split second by that Leona. Lee Sin was looking for some double kick onto Ryze and Jace, but that also failed. Everything Nongsin Red Force was looking for went wide, and they couldn't find any point and value. It was a clean landslide victory claimed by Damwon Kia in game number 2. Damwon Kia picked up back-to-back victory in game 1 and 2, and let's check out the player of the game. Khan on the Korean Jace picks up the player of the game in game 2. We always focus on the goal difference at 15 minutes, and this time around the Khan had more than 2k gold lead up against that Cannon on the top lane. That gank was a bit of a bummer for Nongsin for sure, and then Rich got punished all day long once he had no flash in this game. Cannon is just so vulnerable to ganks without any mobility. And also, when opponents have Rao, the melee champions doesn't really stay under their turret. They don't really reach out to hit some autos to the turret, but Damwon Kia, they knew that they're in a big lead and they're very confident to play out the team fight based on their gold. Khan picked up 9 votes out of 12. I think it's really the time for Nongshim Bradforce to find some adjustment with their strategy and gameplay. They should maybe focus on the laning phase as well. So we're heading into Game 3. They're the cusp of getting eliminated from LCK playoffs.
Thank you so much, Jisun, for the analyst desk translation. It was wonderful as per usual. And Khan will pick that one up, but I have to think that the Chad vote really is Canyon's Predator Trundle, who is facilitating so beautifully. I don't think that there's a way that Khan does that one by himself. He's just always there. His pathing, immaculate. Able to deny Peanut at every turn. He
basically turned the game into a 5v4, Canyon did by...
Or a 1v5, where he made his Jace so big, he was pretty much Megazord. Like, it was too hard.
It was definitely a team effort, but I think a lot of those highlight clips with Khan were also set up by Canyon. But we digress here as we head into Game 3, which could be Nongshim's final game of the season here. I want to see something change, and I know that sounds like a caster buzz where like they've got to just be better. But what I mean is I want to see a playstyle change. I want to see them play around Duck Dom scaling towards a late game. Prioritize a late game AD carry champion. Ban away the Zig, something you and I were talking about during the break as another way you can tackle this draft.
Yeah, I think it's time to start like. What Nongshim did was they attempted to change their playstyle to match what Damwon was doing. But maybe what you've got to do is deny what Damwon's beating you with, tell them to beat you a different way themselves so that you can try and sort of all in on your own style of play. And maybe that's going to be their way around it. The Lee Sin first pick, I think, was a bit of a blunder because Jace is too strong.
Jace is so strong, but also I think that Lee Sin as a champion doesn't excel with Peanut's play style right now, where he's playing more of the farming style. He's playing a lot more passively these days, which seems to be a kind of stylistic choice that his coaching staff has pushed him towards this season, which is part of why they're having a lot more success. Because when they were playing around Bay and Spring, Peanut had to kind of carry the game, right? He was being extremely aggressive and sometimes looked foolish because he was trying so hard. He changed completely. Lee Sin's not a champion that works well with that type of style right now. And they did choose blue side going to this third game of the series, but playing around these skirmishes and these wombo combos, there's the Jace ban.
Yeah, I like this.
Playing around those combos and skirmishes has worked well for them up until this point, but this is Damwon Kia. They know so well how to play around this. So there's the Ziggs ban that
They're
comes
doing
through.
exactly what we were talking about, Wolf. So this is Nongshim denying the way that Damwon Kia has beaten them in the last couple of games, and so now we'll be able to potentially see Nongshim flex into something else. Maybe go for that more all-in style as Damwon Kia are looking for Diana to ban away, which should likely be the one that is incoming here. Unless they want to leave that one up, bait it out, and then pick something else. Is Cannon taken away from Rich? Okay, he has to dig a little bit deeper now.
Now we're going to see a very different game from Nongshim no matter what, where they're not just playing around Cannon ultimates, as we do see the Peanut Lee Sin locked in early.
Renekton still available.
Yeah, Renekton Italy could be something that even Damwon Kia go to here.
This is what Damwon Kia used in the previous playoffs, but no, looks like the Na will be considered, which will make Rich even more uncomfortable, taking the third rung off his top, or fourth, I guess, off his top lane picks, as Canyon's going to pick away the Diana for himself, and now this will give Nongshim an in the early game, but will they be able to capitalize? We've already mentioned they've struggled to change their play style, and this is going much more late game. Jinx Thresh to come through from Nongshim. Don't even need to see the Thresh come in. You knew it was happening.
Front to back these team fights, play around the Diana here, play around the Narbar.
This is the KISS style of drafting. It's keep it simple,
Yes.
stupid. We're just going to go in. We've got our scaling AD carry. We can just play throughout the game and then get to a point where we should just be able to win. But Damonkia has a lot of tools against that.
Because Nongshim have so strong of an AD carry player. Like, this is the AD carry of LCK, right? This is Korea's best. They're going to pull a page out of Nongshim's book and go all in on this. Now, as you mentioned, this was the first team to do this and sort of popularize it, but Nongshim has been using it a lot more in recent times. But Nongshim know this style so well. They play it all the time. This is the kind of style that they have kind of gotten, honestly, straight up to the semifinals with. So you know how to play around this. You know how to play the passive mid-game. So what I really want, what I think is the only thing that's missing here for Nongshim right now with this draft so far is a mid lane that gives you a lot of control over this Yasuo. Control that, threaten the Yasuo, and try to get Peanut into a position where you can actually get some kills early on, at least. Give him kill pressure. That's one way that I think this draft for Nongshim gives them a little bit of a coast through the mid game to where they can really come online with this Jinx later on.
Yeah, I really do like the Ashe ban. I think Renekton LeBlanc was absolutely what Damonkia had to take away. But Ashe being removed from Ghost to avoid that, you know, very vision-heavy utility playstyle is going to be difficult. As, okay, Kalista also off the board. So where does Ghost go? I think Varus is likely to be a fallback here, but could also go towards something else, and we'll see what he decides to sit with. As, yeah, Varus likely to be that option. Unless they want Leona, they could also decide to take that one if they'd like to, but not exactly the greatest pick for lane. And Damonkia have been playing around laning phase a lot.
Yeah, another champion that could have worked well with the style of setup here for Damonkia is the Samira, but this is a lot more consistent, where you're going to see with the Varus a lot more power around objectives and a lot more ability to allow you to still be impactful while you're trying to play around that Narbar. And hey, look,
okay, Rich,
this is it. Like, now you've got side lane pressure for the first time in a game, potentially, right? Fingers crossed if you're a Nongshim fan. Now you've got the Sylas power against the Gnar. You've got so many great ultimates to steal here. This is by far, in my opinion, of the three, Nongshim's strongest draft.
Yeah, it's going to be fighting fire with fire in that mid lane. We know how good Gori is on this Sylas. He actually debuted this season pretty much being a Sylas one-trick.
Yeah.
Yes, Sylas was a lot stronger back then, but still, he has so much comfort here on this champion as well. Another pick that has certainly picked up a lot of popularity so far, 100% in this series, will be last picked for Beryl. Gonna give them a lot of options. I mean, Moonfall, Magnet Storm, like, Showmaker's going to be like, what do I ult? I can ult everything this game.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have so much power, and he's going to have so many opportunities to leap into a fight and get those execution kills onto whoever is low, whoever is set up for him, whoever gets knocked up. And there's so many ways to do that with Damwon Kia, but they are going to have to play around those ultimates. That's going to be a key factor. Without those ults, or if you end up wasting them or losing them before an objective because you took a bad fight, you're not going to have those tools. Nongshim can front to back you. Nongshim also have side lane power, which you do have to a certain extent with the draft here from Damwon Kia, but if Gnar falls behind, you're not going to be able to have any power there. The Camille is going to absolutely crush the late game control of side lanes. Then you also have a Lee Sin that can work well with this Sylas. You have a lot of CC there in the mid lane. You can end up getting a lot of power early around that middle of the map, and then use that leverage to allow Duckdom to safely farm it up. Go to that late game where you have that insane scaling. There's two parts of this draft for Nongshim. It's about the early tempo leads you can get with your solo lanes, but then the late game power you have with the Jinx, and you're going to have to dance around these team fights, and you're probably going to have to give up some of these Drake fights if you don't have vision control, because you do not want to walk into what Damwon Kia have in a 5v5.
Yeah, and I think the top side of the map is going to be so important for both teams, right? You look at this, Yasuo, Diana, Gnar. Yes, you're going to be playing around all of that synergy in the early stages of the game. I think it's largely going to be Ghost left to his own devices, trying to land as many piercing arrows as he possibly can. We know that he suits this playstyle very well. Has been one of his favorite champions for a very long time, is the Varus. So ultimate comfort, but we've seen Varuses not necessarily be picked for agency. They're picked to make sure that they survive in lane and can do enough poke damage around the mid times. This is going to be about that top side, and like you say, Camille always going to win, but when can she hit that critical mass stage? The answer is going to be difficult to find, especially if this series continues the way it is going.
Peanut is going to have to be aggressive early, and he's going to have to be there in every single 2vx fight that Kia look for. Like, he can't ever let his solo laners get killed. That is, he has to make sure that he can make sure they both stay at least even. And obviously, ideally, if he can get them ahead, that would be massive because he has the power to do so. He's not going to be able to have a huge impact in terms of kill pressure until level 6. As, you know, Sylas can do a lot for you CC-wise, can follow up and get a kill oftentimes even before 6, but that's when things get really scary. And Gory, obviously, you know, in this matchup isn't going to get an amazing ultimate to steal, but it can be quite good with the Elysian synergy. Not going to be the most important level 6 hijack, though, if we talk about Sylas matchups.
Yeah, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to make that one work out for himself. However, if he steals it away and then Peanut comes and ganks his lane,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That feels real nice.
Yeah, like that. There's a little bit of synergy there, but otherwise,
options.
Yeah, otherwise you need somebody's help.
Yep, Rich can come through as well and possibly get some knockbacks.
Look at these
ultimate to help.
Yeah, and look at these win rates here.
Well, okay, there's a bit of an answer from Kellen, but it's not quite working as a lot of damage from Ghost does come through.
7-1 for Canyon on this Diana. He was
He's pretty good.
Like when he came back as the jungle.
Whoa, that's a big flash. Ghost is going to flash in response here as once again Nongshim are going to win the level 2 race.
Yeah.
And that's the second time in a row that Ghost has flashed at level 1.
Yeah, and you know, that's really unfortunate that he's not going to have that tool to get out the next time this happens.
Gory will connect onto Showmaker here. Gory taking a bit of damage. Chains are going to miss as there's the knock-up. Showmaker not going to bite off more than he can chew. He's going to get that stab and move on back as Gory is going to take a bit of control of this wave. And it's pushing into him once again. I think like Gory's wave management has been fantastic so far this series.
Yeah, especially in Game 1. That was the insane game. But in this game as well, the start is looking pretty good for him.
Yeah, stacking up now, though, so is going to have that wave push towards Showmaker. So maybe that's a little bit of a lie, but that's fine.
See where Peanut decides to make his first, attempt to gank and actually make a huge lead happen for either of these solo lanes. As right now he's just going to head towards the scuttle. There's a lot of power down in this bottom side of the map for Kellen if he does end up getting a death sentence to connect. With no flash on the Varus, can be quite deadly. Look at how much Duckdom is pushing this advantage to grab an early turret plate. Every single little thing you can do like this as the Jinx in this scenario is amazing. You can get that extra gold, come online even a little bit faster.
Yeah, this is it's dangerous times for Damwon Kia on the bottom side. Of course, they did pick the rel for the team comp, not for the lane. So certainly not expected to have a great time, but it's how much Nongshim can leverage this, right? That's what I'm looking for, is how much they can use the advantages bottom side to really create more for themselves. Because right now they have a huge CS advantage, but is that going to be enough? Because we know that the main character of this game is not going to be the Varus.
No, definitely not. He's actually just going to be the filler, like in between episodes.
Yeah, well, they're going to dive on forward here as Canyon is on the bottom side. Flame Chompers not really doing enough as Beryl is going to go down low. Doctorm looks for it and finds it. The flash is a little bit late though, so he's definitely going to die. Canyon might have to lock this one down, and it's the double kill for the Diana. That's a pretty good start.
It's a double kill for Diana, and the kill for Nongshim goes over to Kellen with the Ignite, so you don't even get that extra gold as Duckdom here. Now you're flashless, now you're cleanseless. And a very amazing turn of events here for Damwon Kia. Remember, this is Ghost who lost his flash early in that trade, and Canyon makes the exact right call to go down and make the big play there when the push is real. And Peanut, once again, very passive, as this is a very extended trade.
Yeah, Khan actually winning out on this one, though, as Rich. The Hyperproc's going to come in. Khan's almost mega. He'll have the hop, possibly, as there's the flash forward. The auto's in the air, and the Hyper will finish it off for the solo on the top side of the map.
Oh, this is a disaster for Nongshim, because now you've lost control of 2 lanes very early on, 2 lanes where you have a lot of power. In fact, as the Camille, as the Jinx who's pushing into a turret, because A, you know, Canyon makes a really nice rotation, Peanut's nowhere to be found, and B, on the top side of the map, you make a misplay. You trade too aggressively as Camille when you're the melee. The Hyperproc hitting is so huge there, and he doesn't flash first. The auto is, you know, guaranteed to hit in that scenario. It's pretty hard to say that if he flashed earlier, he would have gotten out too, because Khan could still follow flash and hit that auto, but either way, he dies and, you know, trades flashes, so it doesn't have any more extra kill pressure.
Yeah.
And once Peanut hits 6, he's got to make something happen. Oh, no.
This is just a Khan masterclass of how to obliterate Camille in lane. As you can see, once again, told to leave. I do want to sort of go back to a bit of a micro point in that last play. I think we might see it, but the grass proc, making it look like Khan went from almost at lethal range for the Camille to, oh, now I've actually got a bit of health here. And then rich understanding that he wasn't going to be able to win is then in a lose-lose scenario. So really nicely played from Khan if he did do that intentionally, as we're going to check out the hook missing, and then Canyon. I mean, positioning so far, his pathing has been pretty impressive.
That was pretty solo kill Thresh there from Kellen, unfortunately. I mean, he was standing so far forward, he was like, we're going to win this no matter what.
Yeah, let's check this one out once again.
The hook shot doesn't connect here either for Rich, so decides to stay and trade. And yeah, I mean, he's not going to say anything within it either, and it's just easy flash forward for the kill.
Khan!
Khan.
He spoke for him.
Yeah, didn't really need to translate that one, but thanks for the reaction, Ghost. That was top notch. His name is indeed Khan. Here's the crash down. Good play, as Kellen might still die, unfortunately. Lands the hook, but it's just to give Beryl a bit of a hug as Canyon comes through with the Moonfall. Doctarm's in trouble. One more auto after this will do it. But he's now underneath the turret. I mean, where's he going to go as Beryl's got another crash down for him?
Peanut has
position,
6.
so actually Damwon not going to overextend, especially with Silas moving down.
Yeah, Beryl should be able to get out of here. It's going to be close. Minions, he's past them.
Yeah, we are going to land the chains here as Beryl trying to move on back. We'll see whether he does have the Bastion for the stun. Not going to.
Yeah,
Track Repel, sorry, Bastions. That's Tarry. I'm getting a little bit confused.
You know, Jinx doesn't have 6 for this for follow-up rocket, as Rich is just getting dunked on right now.
Yeah, he's still actually farming quite well, as you can see.
Yeah.
So that's certainly good news. But every time we go up there, it's just the Gnar being very frustrating.
He does have his level 6 now and can actually fight back very well as soon as the Gnar bar does deplete. But he's going to have to deal with these minions first. And this is a very free Rift Herald setup for Damwon Kia with the pressure they have in top and mid, as well as the amount of rotation power that Nongshim sent to the bottom side of the map. You know you're going to have prio for this. Yep. But they don't start. They're actually showing a lot of respect here. The lack of vision they have on the blue side of the map.
They really
start first, in fact.
Yeah, they are going to begin this one, as you can see. Khan probably wanting to rotate down here. Canyon probably going to look for some vision in this pit. You can see that they can see Doctarm shooting it right now, so they know exactly what's going on. There's Canyon going to get on over. Let's see whether he can actually lock this one down. There's the Wombo combo, though. It doesn't matter who takes the Herald. They immediately give a double kill over to Ghost, who's now chasing after Gory. He's going to heal just for the gap close. It's another kill to go over to Showmaker, and oh man, Nongshim just really not looking like they have it this game.
No, this is unfortunately the worst of the 3.
Yeah.
And like, you have this comp that you're fighting against that is going to excel at taking Rift Heralds, and the fact that Damwon Kia even had prio before this and Nongshim still started it was extremely greedy. And Damwon Kia just said, okay, well, we actually could start this first and take a regular, 5v5 team fight or a crazy skirmish, but what if we just let the Rift Herald bait Nongshim in for us to use our combo? As everybody's standing in a place where you could just engage on that so easily as Damwon Kia. You don't want to be fighting this right now as Nongshim. You want to be farming. They set the Jinx to the Rift Herald right away. They were so hell-bent on taking a fight here. He could have just gone bottom, and this is just Canyon coming in saying, all right, it's time for a combo. What's up? Everybody is pulled in by the Moonfall. The last breath connects, and everybody's health bars go down to 0. May have been the first to the Rift Herald, may have been able to get the secure, but you are not ever going to win this fight, especially when you have no vision whatsoever. You can't even react. There's no reaction here.
Just amazing. That's exactly what you're looking for. We saw some heroics out of it. Was in fact Dread in game number 1 against Nongshim when they tried to pull off the Yasuo and the Diana combo. It was the Glacial Prison sort of staggering all of that CC so it couldn't be layered. There isn't an option for that here on Nongshim's side, especially not when Damwon Kia is playing around it so beautifully, and we can see exactly why the Yasuo Diana is something that our teams really do like to play. It was something that Damwon Kia brought out at Worlds. at MSI, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. But also, you know, it wasn't necessarily something that caught on, but you can see why it is so powerful.
And why, yeah, you see that rogue Yasuo ban every now and then in a draft because this combo is very strong.
Yeah.
And Yasuo himself can be very oppressive to deal with if he gets ahead, but his main utility is going to be in those team fights, of course, but even his knock-up can be very annoying in one of these skirmishes. Like, it's not always you have to hit all the R buttons together. Like, there's a lot of ways this comp works together around an early Rift Herald fight, which is why, especially when the control of the map is already to Damwon Kia, you don't have any vision there, it's probably best to send Duck Dom bottom, maybe posture the Rift Herald, but never walk into what is going to be an amazing Moonfall engage. When you don't know where Canyon is, you should not be, like, standing like that.
And as you can see, Doc Dom does have that Rift Herald like you're talking about, but this was Damwon Kia walking down, seeing a vacated bottom lane, and then just deciding that they'll take 3 plates. Now, even if the Rift Herald is put down, which it is not quite going to be enough to even out the trade, especially after that incredible team fight for Damwon. Hook going to go wide once again. As, okay, Chains of Corruption also not going to hit the mark, but Kellen's still dead. He's going to go golden for a moment, but Barrel's going to crash down. Kellen's just going to get autoed by Ghost, and now they're looking for Peanut. Canyon going to get queued, and so Peanut's going to be able to lock that one down. As now Gori looking for an opportunity, but my God, the damage from the follow-up, and Showmaker's not done yet. Doc Dom now having to deal with this Yasuo, and he's not going to be able to. It's a double kill, and everyone is getting some solo queue flashbacks from this one.
I mean, it looks like Damwon Kia are going to the finals, Atlas. That's what it looks like where I'm sitting, because this is just not a game you can recover from anymore as Nongshim. It's already a 4,400 gold lead at 12 minutes. This is going to be the entirety of the bottom turret going down. Look at these numbers. Showmaker 3-0 and 3, Ghost 4-0 and 5.
Yeah.
And you can't come back from this one anymore, I'm afraid. No amount of side lane pressure.
Well, Kellen's going to find a hook onto Ghost here, who's just going to wander around, look to not give an assist over, but it is going to be a Lantern that gives that kill to Rich. So that's good news.
Yeah,
that's a bit of a
save a turret.
shutdown as well, so a lot of extra money going over to Rich.
Yeah, save a turret too, and this is just, I mean, look, you missed the hook here, but you feel like you have to force something right now as Nongshim. And unfortunately, Kellen steps way too far forward again. I hate to say it, but Kellen has been way out of position. Peanut gets a really nice kick here, so they're able to get Canyon. Then the teleport comes through from Gory. And yes, he steals the Magnet Storm here, but guess what? The real Magnet Storm is going to be way better. The crash down is great. And you don't ever want to walk into this. You never want to be in close proximity to this combo. And they just said, well, we're going to force this fight no matter what. And when you're this far behind, is there really a good choice? As in max range, Death Sentence does connect here onto Ghost.
I mean, Ghost just a bit of a whoopsie in positioning.
Yeah.
But good opportunistic play, get that teleport through to make sure that they lock down that kill.
So when you can't even get excited about that 700 gold, you know where we are in this game.
Yeah, I mean, that was because Doc Dom was in the death chamber. There was no getting excited about that one, as Gori going to look to try and clear out this mid-wave as Nongshim are desperate to try and find any avenue back into this one, but it is so hard. As okay, the ultimate going to come through. Beryl might be taken out here, and yes, Peanut will be able to lock down that kill. So as I say it, certainly a bit of extra opportunity for Nongshim, finding a couple of picks in a row.
Yeah, Duck Dom here just going to hold down the fort on the bottom side of the map. Can they find any objective here is the question, and I think the answer is no, because Beryl is going to respawn. Rift Herald's up in 20. And even if you did get that as Nongshim, it's not going to lead to too much right now with the lack of dead turrets and the inability to grab an inner right now. Plus, by the time the Drake spawns, everybody's going to be set up here for Damo as we watch this play once again with a little bit more detail. Beryl just gets Hextech Ultimatum here. He is unable to turn things around with his Magnet Storm. He was almost able to actually rejoin his team, and that could have even been a turn there, but Hextech Ultimatum going to be too powerful.
Yep. Canyon, though, with the extra space that Damwon do have, is going to look for Shirley. They have been Shirley gamers so far in this particular match. Getting double the plates as well, certainly good news here for Damwon. One of them did go awry, I believe, but did get a lot of money. But the Shirleys that they've picked up this game have certainly been high value.
Certainly have.
Nongshim going to be able to take down this outer turret on the bottom side, so that should get them a bit of gold back.
Yeah,
not bad.
Small victory here for Nongshim, and that's exactly where you want that money to be going right now, is towards the Jinx. This turret is not long for this world.
There's Chains of Corruption picked up by Gori, so Ghost is going to have to be a little bit respectful. But no, he's just going to take down this out of turret, and it is a secondary charge to come through here as well for Shirley. So once again, a lot of value as in goes Beryl, actually, looking for the dive. And yep, they can do it. The on-demand Ultra CC combo comes in, and Peanut, absolutely nothing he can do. Triple charge, gamers?
Yeah.
What's happening this time? No, Kellen should be able to get it, yeah.
He does get it, but this is the stage we are at in this game for Damwon Kia, where they can walk forward and press R, and anybody who gets caught dies. It's just that simple. We're so far behind now as Nongshim, you know, that you can't even be near your turret. It's not safe. It's not safe to be on your turret. Even at 16 minutes of the game, you are going to die in less than a second if you get caught by any of that CC. As the steal attempt there from the Jinx Rocket is a fail. But look at this. Like, yeah, Rift Herald connects, and Peanut, you're way too far forward here, man.
Yeah, he was looking to try and grab Gori, but they'll take Peanut.
The thing is, there's no world in which you kill anybody there with the kick, but he's looking for the play. It is a lost cause, this game, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's a bit of a rough one, and that was trying to get into position for the eye, you know, and trying to take down Shirley before she causes too much more damage, but I think that maybe just prioritizing
surviving
keeping yourself alive, yeah, is probably a good idea. As we're going to have a look at all of the red gold leads, it is almost entirely, on the jungle and mid lane, and this is the beauty of Damwon Kia these days, is that sometimes you see games, especially like the last one, where Khan just completely pops off. We mentioned that he was basically Megazord in that game. It was all him. He did so much of the damage for his team, but sometimes you have the Showmaker Canyon games. You know, we've been seeing them many, many times with, you know, Lee Sin coming back in there. Lee Sin LeBlanc is terrifying, as well as whenever Showmaker picks up his Syndra and things like that. And once again, we're seeing it here, where because they have the Diana Yasuo synergy, that's when you can see the Showmaker show.
Yeah.
But also there's been some moments where it's Ghost that they play around as well. We have to remember back to some of his pentakills so far this year that he's picked up. Is now Beryl's fighting Rich for some reason, as he's going to throw out a sad B, and they're both going to go their separate ways, utilizing the Blast Cone. It is going to be an Infernal Soul this game, which is a bit exciting.
Do we see it taken, though, is the question.
This is not a base race that you're going to win, Nongshim, I'm sorry, as that's a hook, but he wanted to go in anyway. There's the Moonfall. Goodbye, Kellen. Canyon's going to try and walk this one out as Showmaker puts up the wind wall. Now Doctom trying to get some damage down in response. Rich not really finding the response here either, and he's just going to get knocked up into the sky. Boomerang for the follow-up, and that is a very comfortable pick. They take down the inhibitor turret, but leave the inhibitor. Baron hasn't even spawned yet.
Yeah, no,
Damwon Kia have a 6,000 gold lead.
They leave the inhibitor. The inhibitor actually might give Doctom a lot of actually free farm at this stage, sub 20 minutes.
They might have watched Freak's recent
video. Yeah, I was literally going to make the same reference. Like, Freak was like, nice. Yeah. Doctom.
Okay, there's the kickback, as there's the delivery of Canyon, but he's got a stopwatch. Trying to keep himself alive. He flashes, but goes the opposite direction. Looks for Doctom here and gets him. In the end, he's going to type Worth in all chat. As now Khan looking to chase this one down. Doesn't find the flash. Nah. As Kellen's going to get a stray boulder to the head. Misses the hook, unfortunately. And Showmaker is looking for even more. In they all go as Peanut flies on forward. But he's going to get taken down by the Yasuo. And Beryl crashing down over the wall. Khan is going to kill Kellen once again. It feels like in the same play as Gori. Not going to find any chains here, unfortunately. And Damwon Kia, it feels like they're just a bit too far ahead.
Yeah, something wallet, something heavy.
Yeah, I think I've said that one before in the past sometime, maybe every game.
Burn a hole in your pocket at this point is...
Yeah.
I mean, Nongshim don't have any... There is no comeback game here, unfortunately. Like, Kellen... If we really want to analyze this game like to its fullest, which I will do for just a brief moment, there's been a lot of big individual player errors in this game for Nongshim in the early game. Kellen in particular has had some egregious aggressive positioning because he's trying to get the most greedy kills ever, as this Canyon still gets that kill somehow.
I think it was Smite to death.
There. The only way he hit that. But Kellen gets caught so many times in the early game. I think he's like something like 6 deaths this game right now. Rich didn't have a great start, you know, dies to Khan. Some big errors lead to insane control for Damwon Kia, and the biggest moment was when they fought for the Rift Herald there, or rather grouped on Rift Herald with no vision. Damwon Kia just said, surprise, we're here actually, and killed everybody.
Well, speaking of surprise, this might just be Surprise Baron, as I don't know what Nongshim are going to be able to do to answer this. Yes, they can see that it's happening, but what is going to be the response? Q going to connect onto Beryl, doesn't take very much damage there at all, as now Khan is just looking for Peanut. The crash down comes on forward. Damwon Kia might have to turn and get towards a team fight. It's going to be a decent Nara into the wall. Coming through from Goro, who grabs the first kill as well. The second, as that dynamic duo are going to be taken out. Make it trio. As now Nongshim, it's their turn to go towards the Baron. So Damwon Kia, unfortunately, caught a bit with their pants down.
I didn't see that new playoff roster of Baron joining Nongshim Red Force going to the playoffs. I didn't see that. But he's actually the key player. Where's the key player matchup here for this one? But the Baron attempt here from Damwon Kia is spreading themselves just a little bit too thin. And when you consider that outside of something like a hijacked Gnar ultimate here, there isn't much great engage for Nongshim. So you feel like, I'm pretty safe. We have the easiest turn ever. Like, what's Peanut going to do to this? Can Kellen hook somebody? But actually, the hijacked Gnar ultimate is the one thing they didn't see coming. That's the one amazing engage tool they have to set up for this fight. And they're not back in this game yet, but this Baron play gives them opportunities to maybe sneak some extra wins here.
Well, we're seeing exactly what the power of this Nongshim comp is, finally. As, yeah, this isn't going to be a pushover. So, Nongshim looking to try and deny Soul Point. Can they do so? As Canyon is in the area, now looking for his opportunity, finds the Moonfall. There's the ulti to come through at the same time. The Magnet Storm's good. It is going to be Soul Point over to Damwon Kia, but can they actually win the fight? Is the question, as Khan finds himself the lone member in the area, and it's once again an answer from Nongshim, much like in game number 1. There's an ace, and Nongshim are now going to start pushing, and they have Baron.
It's only 22 minutes into the game, but the death timers are pretty long for Damwon Kia given their lead that they had early on. But two amazing team fights for Nongshim where well and truly now Duckdom is online, and you're seeing these hijacks end up getting insane value here. As look at how split Damwon Kia is. Ghost is hitting the dragon. When this
Duckdom untouched in the backline after the flash.
And Rich is on top of Ghost, so Ghost goes down here in this skirmish. There's no winning it, and they end up cleaning up house. In this type of fight, the initial exchange for Damwon Kia has to get multiple kills. This is why these comps sometimes rather do fall apart. And they're like, oh, we do it, we can win this fight. Peanut's calling it out, actually being kind of a cheerleader more than anything else. He's super hyped. But these are the moments where you could start to see the composition of Nongshim come online. Oh, we will have a pause.
All right, that's a little bit of a pause.
Well, you know, it was starting to look like our series might be shorter than the LPL pause we had the other day, but we're getting our own pause now here. I guess it has the pause meta has to ping pong around the regions.
Yeah, it's we're gonna restart because Kellen's champion is glowing. Floating. Ah, the floating thresh problem. Much like the floating cow. Floating Thresh is a little bit more on theme because he's so much more ethereal than that of the Alistair. So we're going to bring him back down to earth. That is just going to involve a client reset, so not too much time. So not going to need to worry about too much. Not going to be any sort of bug or anything like that. The bug might be that Damwon Kia had a ridiculous snowball and have lost some consecutive fights, and now there's a Baron rotating around Nongshim, and they are facing with a very difficult situation. Yes, Soul Point is available to them, but will they even get there?
They took this fight against Baron buff. They took this fight on Dragon, where Ghost is able to do a little bit of damage at the end of that combo there, but not the massive damage that you would have wanted. And obviously it's Varus, right? He's not going to have the same sort of impact as a Jinx is when the counter combo comes through from Nongshim. Duckdom, like you mentioned, is untouched and is able to just do so much and basically 1v5s the enemy team once the CC is set up. As we were jumping right back into this. 0, 4, and 10 is Duckdom in this game, but those items are starting to come through. He gets an Infinity Edge coming up here in just a moment. And let's not forget that it feels like this is a really, really crazy late game we're looking at, but not really. It's only 23 minutes in. The Jinx still has some growing to do, in fact. So as Damwon Kia, you need to respect that if you don't get the kill on the Jinx or the front line of Nongshim, then the next part of the fight, you're kind of useless. Once you throw all your ultimates in, you're not going to be front to back in after that.
Nope. And this is Gori as well with a 10 stack on his Dark Seal. I'd like him to complete the good book as well, just because his performance has been so good. We know that his Silas is fantastic, but a beautiful demonstration here this game.
There's a lot of good ults to steal, and he's been using them well.
Yeah.
Oh, they know he missed. Oh, he checks again.
That's a high-value Q right there. As Peanut, yes, deserved dab. As now Dom looking to try and get some pot shots onto this inner turret. Damwon Kia still formidable if they can get everything to land squarely, but they are respecting Gori so much. You can see moving on over with the Gnar ultimate in hand. Makes things very dangerous.
He has Gnar ultimate, he's stolen that again, and also, you know, if you're fighting between turrets like this as Damwon Kia and you're trying to go into that choke point, when you do engage, because everyone has to collapse in at the same time, you're basically guaranteeing the Gnar is going to get big value. You're going to get a big set of stuns, so you have to play around it very well. The same way, you know, any team plays around Gnar bar, you now have to play around this hijack Gnar ultimate.
Yeah.
So Damwon Kia finally respecting Nongshim here, because if they keep just kind of face-first running into team fights willy-nilly, because yes, they were extremely ahead, and that is realistic to expect, and we did see it have success in some of those earlier fights, it can work. But at this point, if you keep running face-first in and Nongshim keeps getting extra gold, the gold lead they have now is going to start to become more apparent. You're going to start to see so much damage from Dom, and he's not even fully online yet, don't forget.
And not to mention the fact that Rich is sitting at 4-1-5, and he is a massive late-game insurance piece for Nongshim. His split push is going to be unanswerable, and we've gone over that, and I thought that it was a bit of a, you know, a bit facetious to talk about it earlier on in the game due to the fact that the snowball was rolling so heftily, but unfortunately it's hit some pretty warm terrain halfway down this mountain. Summer's upon us, and it's melting.
You know, you lose one
melted.
Yeah. You lose one team fight, and you can forgive it, right? You can go, okay, well, Damwon Kia botched this. They didn't expect the Gnar hijack to be so perfect there around the Baron. The second fight on the Infernal Drake, that one is a little bit less forgivable. That's the one where you go, okay, you've now lost your lead. You know, the Halo lost, the lead voice comes through, and you're like, uh-oh, wait a minute, is it possible to lose this game? Is it possible to lose this game? Well, because it looked like it was not, and now, suddenly, Nongshim have a lot of control over this game. The side lanes and front-to-back team fighting is finally an option.
Yeah, and it's looking better than ever, especially with the Infinity Edge now completed. Damwon Kia do have some breathing room when it comes to these Drakes, but I just don't think that they want this game to extend, right? As Khan doesn't have much of a Gnar bar. In fact, not a Gnar bar at all, as we've got 25 seconds on this Infernal. Khan with teleport available. Damwon Kia just going to move towards the bottom lane. That's a teleport to come through. And Showmaker is also going to go back, grab some items, see what he can actually purchase here. Not sitting on too much.
The split needs to be good here, and Dom cannot get caught. He does have his cleanse available, but still, that's not always going to save you. The damage is just insane if you end up getting moonfalled here.
This is it. If Nongshim win another team fight, I think it might just be game. And if Damwon Kia can steal away this Drake before this one, is that a flash forward from Kellen? All right, he's going to die earlier, but can Canyon actually win this fight is the question. The Rel also going to fall down. It is a big Gnar into the walls. So Silas is already dead. Peanut goes golden, but they might be able to take him down, and Dom is now free hitting Showmaker. Can he get into the backline? The answer is yes, but then he immediately dies. The flash out from Canyon, and the Drake is still alive. Nongshim will deny the soul.
Such a beautiful team fight from Nongshim. The flash hook there from Kellen is so great because it sets up the box to where you can then set up a big Gnar ultimate. Once again, Gori is the Gnar in this game, actually, on the Silas.
Feeling like that.
And he's starting to really get big impact. And this is actually at a timing to where, yes, as Damwon Kia, you can give a Drake here, but you've given a ton of extra gold over to Dom, who now has his Infinity Edge, and it's at a timing where the Baron is available. So first Infernal Drake going to come through, but the bigger issue is now, this is an insane amount of map control that Nongshim are going to have. They can push down, threaten inhibitors with this Baron buff, and you're going to have to be taking these fights defensively in your base. You don't have a lot of agency when the Baron buff is up, as Damwon Kia, unless you can flank. And if you don't have vision control on the map and it's Baron buff, how do you flank? How do you find that? As watch this play. It's actually so insane. Kellen comes in
and finds Ghost with it as well.
Play. And look at this follow-up Gnar ultimate. Everybody's on the same page. Suddenly, it's like a light switch was flipped here for Nongshim. They are totally in control of this game, and it looks like they're the ones with the Wombo combo comp.
Yeah, and Dom with his positioning as well. Just gets himself out of the way. No way that that Yasuo was winning that battle, unfortunately.
One kill.
Damwon Kia fans.
One kill on Dom, but he's got 12 of the 16.
Yeah, and he's still standing at the end of the fights as well, as Damwon do lose their inner turret in the mid lane. It's going to be so tough because the range advantage from Nongshim is so high. I mean, yes, Ghost has piercing arrows, but I mean, this Jinx has auto attacks.
Yes. that's it. She's got a rapid fire cannon too. So, as you mentioned, like the range issue is a big one.
Yeah.
You get hit by that, you're gonna take a huge chunk of damage before the fight even starts. Or as you engage as Canyon, it's a terrifying game to play. He does have his Zonias, so he can live through the beginning part of the fight, but once Duckdom starts hitting autos and gets excited, it's just over.
Yeah, the snowball potential is just so high. As now we can see the Camille in the mid lane. It's the 4-1 style that Nongshim's comp is so good at. Chains of Corruption going to go wide. Gori without his hijack for the next little while, but he's level 17. Cooldown is basically negligible. As Damwon here at the moment doing a decent job trying to hold on to their turrets. Bit of added aggression there from Showmaker as he slides through the minions towards Rich, but
notice
he had to lock anything down. As, okay, Na's going to get an ulti. Rich in a bit of trouble, throws down his ult himself as now he's trying to escape, but the CC is just too much. So that's the GA down. Gori looking for an opportunity, but no, he is just going to cone his way out.
I was going to say, notice the focus is clearly on the 1 and not the 4 here for Damwon Kia, because at this point, you can blow up one target, but getting the big wombo combo isn't necessarily going to be enough because there's enough time buy on the side of Nongshim to where Duckdom carries the fight. So they see Rich, and Khan is just waiting here, has this opportunity to knock him back, and then the combo comes through, it just takes too much damage. And unfortunately, as Nongshim, you're not in a position where you can try to punish this, so just ends up being a free kill here, essentially. And this is really terrifying for Nongshim because you lose a lot of power here. Now you might not get an inhibitor necessarily with the Sparing buff. There's only 20 seconds to go on that. Inhibitor turret in the bot lane still stands.
I still like Nongshim's comp as the game continues, right? At this position, at this gold, I feel like their composition does just do a lot more, have a lot more agency. But now they're going to look to really commit onto this one. So the inhibitor turret does go down. Does Damwon Kia actually have an engage? Here's the question. They've got all of their ultimates available, but can they actually pull the trigger as Duckdom is very low? Showmaker was looking for him. The last breath was available. That inhibitor still standing for now.
The inhibitor's going to stand. Now, Gori, I want to point out he has 2 stopwatches between the stopwatch and the Zonias, so he is going to be able to set up this Gnar ultimate whenever he wants. Whenever he has the hijack Gnar ult right now, he can do it exactly how he pleases. There is no counterplay for it. He will get where he wants to be, and he's going to drop it down. Finishes his Morel Nomicon now as well. He is insanely fed. And so, as Damwon Kia, it's weird because the Predator has become the prey in a lot of ways in how these fights are going to play. And now I think as Damwon Kia, your best bet in taking these fights is actually to be the second one to fight, to be the second one to engage, because you have more of it. They have one hijacked ultimate, and if they go in like that and Duckdom starts walking forward, you're going to have to be the second one to ult. That means you lose a lot of agency, but I think that's the best way, their best bet at winning these team fights straight up is to try to play around Gori's ult. Whatever one he's got at the time, which is usually the Gnar.
Yeah, the Gnar is definitely very valuable, but Moonfall's fantastic as well. There are definitely a lot of options. It's on a very low cooldown at level 18 that he has hit right now. 3 levels ahead of Showmaker, who is only at level 15 right now. This Silas is absolutely massive. Gets himself the Gnar ult, like you were talking about. Damwon Kia with another opportunity at this Infernal Soul. They don't have to go for this.
I think they have to give it, but like, what's your in-game here? If you don't take this, if you don't fight here,
I mean, yeah, things don't necessarily get better. You're exactly right. It's now Khan with a fully charged Gnar. He is now even with Gori as far as Gnaring potential.
True.
Fantastic. Well, it's now wearing off, and this is exactly what Nongshim want. They want to wait this one out. It's Damwon Kia. They just pull the dragon out of the pit.
Canyon flanking.
Yeah. Spotted as he dives on in. They find Duckdom. This is massive for Damwon. Can they get towards Rich now? Who's the next option? Showmaker has dived towards him. Gori has taken out the Varus, but he's not necessarily the carrier now. Showmaker's dancing around the fight. He's got himself his Guardian Angel, and they say goodbye to Nongshim. Damwon Kia, they can always team fight. And there's the Infernal Soul, and now they're right back in control.
They are back in control, and we are 33.5 minutes into the game now. They are going to get more than just this Drake. They are going to be able to get a Baron. They might be able to grab some inhibitors with this. And this is Canyon's play. All him. Sweeper at the ready. He knows they don't see him. And who does he get? It's Duckdom.
That's before they had a chance to even say, like, watch out for the Diana. They were in the middle of it. And then Jinx was dead.
That was a huge play from Canyon. And the thing is, it was zero risk because if he sweeps a ward there, he knows, okay, well, they're going to see me. I'm not going to be able to pull this off. The ward he sweeps is at the very last second. Look at this.
들어갔거든.
The second he sees the ward, the ward, he knows there's no way that he can hesitate. He has to go at the exact moment, and he does. And it's so well played here. And once Duckdom is dead, there is no team fight. That is the one piece that if you kill, it's checkmate in a 5v5 for Damwon Kia.
Well, now Rich might have to be the hero. He almost has the Hextech ultimatum, as it is going to be the smite that comes through onto the Baron. Now can they keep themselves alive is the question. The last breath says absolutely yes, as they're looking to try and finish off the fight. Rich dashing towards the back of the pit now as Duckdom, nowhere near as safe as he's been in previous fights. He flashes for a kill onto the Rel, but that ain't what you want, as it's a double for Khan and Canyon. Oh man, what a series for this man.
Oh, what a series for Canyon, and we watched a literal miracle happen before our eyes. That team fight for Gory on the previous Baron that brought Nongshim back into this game meant that we got to watch 35 minutes of League of Legends in this final game of this series, but it's all going to come crashing down. Peanut, hands off the keyboard here, as this is Damwon Kia securing their spot in the finals, their spot in the group stage of Worlds.
This is just amazing work from Damwon Kia. It seems like in 2021, Damwon Kia are the most inevitable of the LCK. Congratulations, they've made it to the LCK final for summer 2021. They were already going to Worlds, but how about a first seed to go along with it? Well, if T1 or Gen G, whichever one of them wins the next semi-final, they will face Damwon Kia. One of them will be our LCK champions of 2021, but this team looks so formidable.
One play from Canyon is what wins them this game. Yes, they had full control before that, and yes, it was taken away.
I was ready to write them off, man. I felt like Nongshim, they had so many team fights in a row that looked so good.
We had the obituary pre-written.
Yeah.
And then suddenly Gory has the amazing Gnar engaged. Suddenly they win 2 back-to-back team fights. Damwon makes some big mistakes. They come back into the game. They got a Jinx fed. They have Prio on the Drake. And it looks like they're going to take it. They're winning the fight. And then Canyon pops out of a bush. And you're not going to your first finals here in the LCK, Rich. Not this time. Not this season. You still got a chance at Worlds. You still got an opportunity to play on the international stage, potentially coming up. This is not the end of the year for Nongshim just yet, but Khan, he's feeling himself.
Yeah, he really is. I don't know whether that was frustration or whether it was just a show of force, but that's a lot of emotion there from Khan, who tries to rip the desk out of the ground.
I think, honestly, he might just be so out of it that it was an accident. The way he grabbed the desk, they're trying to grab his keyboard or something, but either way. Damwon Kia, I mean, it's a series you expect them to win. Most people predicted them. They were the big favorites. I was a 3-1 Andy, and they made it. It was like a 4-0 almost is what it felt like, how dominant all 3 games were. Yes, in the 3rd game, there was a little bit of a comeback, but the early game in that 3rd game was by far the most dominant of the 3. And you look at this Damwon Kia right now, this team looks so terrifying. This is a team that you will be facing internationally at Worlds. It's time to start prepping for this team because they might be able to do the back-to-back run if they can keep up this form.
I'm also really glad that Khan got the player of the game, because we can ask him about why that particular emotional response to that game came through, because I'm expecting that it's frustration. I'm expecting that Damwon Kia did not want to show any sort of weakness at all in this series, and they did. At the end of game number 3, there certainly was an opportunity there for Nongshim. They had to play their absolute hearts out in order to confirm the 3-0 that I imagine they felt was pretty much in the bag, right? Yeah. They chose Nongshim. They were like, all right, let's cruise towards our 3rd championship possibility in a row here in the LCK, and they do manage to do so. However, Nongshim did. It feels like 300, you know? It's like that spear did manage to fly through the air, you know? We know that the Persians aren't invincible.
That was Canyon coming in and killing Duckdom. This is Damwon. It was very, very poetic end. Tragic if you're a Nongshim fan, unfortunately, there, because it was like we watched a miracle occur. It looked like maybe we have a series, you know? Nongshim looked like they take that game no matter what. Yeah. We watched 2 almost unlosable games in one get turned on their head.
Yeah, it was a dicey one. Let's go back in time and check out some of these highlights as it started off. Just Damwon Kia
running away with it. And we were sort of saying like, wow, what a swift 3-0, what a dominant performance. And then, I mean, Nongshim found some phenomenal fights towards the mid-game, and it felt like they were well and truly back in.
You mentioned also how Damwon Kia get a little bit exposed here, and I think there is a certain truth to that.
That was a dash cannon into the wall that still landed onto Dr. and killed him. Yeah. That's what it was. He didn't move anywhere, so it didn't look like it.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
He went through the wall there. It's actually a good call. I didn't even see that the second time around.
Yeah, I needed 3 in order to figure it out.
But, yeah, I mean, there was a little bit of an exposure here of some of the ways that this team fighting could go wrong in Game 3, but I don't think you're going to be drafting like this. You might be drafting like this in the group stage of Worlds. You might be drafting like this in one of the games in your best of 5 in the final, but we know that Damwon Kia doesn't have to play this style. They don't, necessarily even like to play this style. They like to play more of the late game team fighting front to back, the kind of game that we're seeing from Nongshim here, but the emotions from Khan in that moment, you could definitely feel it one way or the other, whatever it was, whether it was excitement or happiness, joy, or rage. It's his last year, right? He's going to the military next year. He's been very public about that. He's been very vocal that he's retiring after this. So you got the opportunity now to be the first team to win 3 back-to-back LCKs. You can win Worlds. That's still on the table for you. There's got to be so many emotions going through this player's mind. It was just absolutely killing him.
Let's have a listen to Damwon Kia as they finish this final fight.
카밀 나한테 들어왔거든. 나 이거 내가 이겨.
Go mid.
Host losing his mind.
야 이거 나름 집태라는 게 낫지 않아?
나를 집태래. 나.
아니 이거
영역 싸워.
공템 싸워. 리치면 아니 그 트포. 야 다 팔아. 아니.
Push on the port in.
일단 텔 바꿔.
뭐라도 영역이라도 타워.
Someone's saying Khan actually.
Saying to sell and buy
이거 플래시 리치 나온다. 그럼 천천히 써.
Alright, try and get a little bit of extra turret damage.
동작 천천히 써 진짜.
Make sure you push slow.
끝났다. 아 나이스. 와 한타로 망할게. 한타로 간다. 나이스.
No, Khan is hyped.
Yeah, he's hyped. Definitely, maybe just an overflow of emotion in that last moment. Having a look here, Canyon. Yeah, that's a lot of Diana damage. But you can see, look at that huge hiccup that we can see towards the later stage of that game. It's certainly something that Nongshim have sort of made a name for themselves about, which is finding these comebacks, finding these moments. Damwon Kia had the counter moment in this particular game, but I don't think a lot of other teams would have been able to do that. And there's a lot of what-ifs that you can now ask, right? Like, if Nongshim wins that, do they then get reinvigorated to find themselves a reverse sweep?
Yeah. We
don't know. We'll never know.
Before Canyon ulted Dukdom, like we stood at the precipice of like parallel universes splitting. Actually,
let's check out the Canyon of the game.
Yes.
Or the player of the game in this one. It is going to be Canyon that comes through. I had to make a leap of faith on that one, but
well, I mean,
it was pretty comfy.
How could it not be Canyon? Because if he doesn't make that play, like none of these highlights are cool. He had a really good early game, whatever. But if he doesn't make that play happen, like we're talking about draft for Game 4 right now. We're talking about, okay, what side is Damwon Kia going to pick for the first time in this series, right? And he makes the incredible play there at the very end, so he's going to pick it up here. But yeah, I agree, because we did stand on the precipice of maybe Nongshim's great reverse sweep, because we talked about it was one of our points of the match. This team has had so many reverse sweeps. This team actually won against Damwon Kia twice, 2-1 in summer season. And when you get reinvigorated like this, I mean, Gory had the game of his life. Dukdom was popping off, and that is how a momentum can shift in the best of 5. So it's so important when Canyon pulls off that execution of Dukdom to win the game. That moment defined the end of this series.
Yeah, and now we have confirmation, actually, that our first round of the World's Gauntlet will, in fact, be between Hanwha Life Esports and Live Sandbox. The next opposition in that Gauntlet run will, in fact, be Nongshim. So they'll be down there waiting for either Live Sandbox or Hanwha Life Esports, which is a fun one, actually. Nongshim versus Live Sandbox, sort of our new top teams, possibly facing off unless Chovy and the gang can make that miracle run. 10 out of 12, pretty obvious. I'm kind of thinking a unanimous vote would have made a bit more sense.
Some media votes down there, just always got to keep it real.
Yeah, I think Media KEKW is starting to outweigh the Ian cast KEKW a little bit here, Wolf. I'm going to need you to re-establish your dominance. Right? Yeah, but here we go. Interview time. So here is Jisun.
Thank you very much, guys. This is Jisun with the POG interview, joined by Showmaker Con Canyon after a 3-0 victory over Nongshim. Congratulations on making it into the final 3 seasons in a row. Feels great. What about you, Con?
저는 뭐 아무 팀이나 이제 쉽게
I mean,
도달할 수 없는 영역에 일단 발을 걸친 것 같아서 기분이
I'm
좋네요.
on the kind of level that not many teams or players can actually accomplish, so it feels awesome. Same, it's very meaningful. Canyon, since 2020 LCK summer, Damwon Kia is picking up 4 straight 3-0 victory. I also thought that if we can start off really well, it's gonna be a very clean game. But I thought in Game 3 we might lose because we made so many mistakes in Game 3, but we did win, so I'm glad. In the summer split, you guys decided, you guys fell to Nongshim for 2 times in a row, but you guys decided to choose them as your opponent. Just because we thought T1 is stronger than Nongshim, and that was the only reason. Con, I think Jace was the centerpiece of Damwon Kia's draft today. And everyone knows about Con's Jace, especially the ones who got beaten by your Jace, but Nongshim actually decided to let it through for multiple times. Did you have the confidence that you'll be having the full control with the Jace? It's not about me, having the Jace. It's more about my teammates helping out in order to get the lead that I needed on the top lane and have the control of the map. And also, you had a lot of Jace Ziggs comp back to back. I guess Poke comp is really a high value comp in the current patch. It's not about the value, it's more about we know how to play that well. In Showmaker, we saw a pocket pick from Damwon Kia, Rel support, a champion that has not been a mainstream these days. Was it something you guys prepared for the playoffs? Rel got buffed recently, and Burrow, just like you mentioned, has an undefeated win rate on this champion, so that's definitely one of his comfort picks. He gets even more confident. Showmaker, we had 35 kills at 35 minutes into the game. 1 kill per minute, and you guys also got aced by Nongshim as well. What kind of playstyle did you guys prepare in this series against Nongshim? Just like we can see from their stats, Nongshim is really good at turning the game around and getting the comeback victory, so we wanted to focus on the macro play and not letting Nongshim to get their comebacks. In Canyon, Nongshim played Samira Rel comp after a very long while. What did you guys say after seeing that bottom duo pick? We have to be a lot more cautious down on the bottom lane, and also we had Trundle on our comp, so we knew that we'll be having the lead heading into the later stage of the game, so we wanted to focus on the early game, not to make mistakes and have accidents. And Quan, you were just dominating, dismantling the top lane. It was totally a top gap kind of a game. Is that because of Jace winning the lane, or is it because of Trundle playing around the top lane to support you? I think Jace did a great job, because he forced 2 flashes out of the opponent top in jungle, and then later on I was able to capitalize on my rune choice, the Predator. Con, what about you? I think my jungler did a great job, because my jungler is Canyon, so it's okay to get ganked, because I believe in Canyon that he'll be able to compensate that somewhere else, so I get to feel less pressure, which allowed me to get a turnaround kill. So this kind of a credit, this kind of a belief, trust, faith in with my teammates allows me to win this kind of a 1v2 trade. Showmaker, what do you think of Con's long sentence and answer? I think I did well. It's on me. That's why you guys all want the POG in this series. So moving on, we also have a question about the itemizations. Youmu's. Could you tell us about the item as well? Any tips for Jace play? In solo queue, a lot of Jace players actually build Youmu's as a second item. So I tried it once, and then in that situation, I don't think that was the best choice. So I think it's really important to build the right item in the right game. Game 3, we had Yasuo, Diana, Wombo combo duo. And you guys actually had about 10k gold lead. But you guys kind of flipped it at the Baron and also at the Drake. Weren't you guys worried about the status of the game? Well, I was saying that it's okay, but in my mind I was like, that was a whoopsie. But still, my teammates, you know, they're also good at concentrating in the late game, so I still believe that we will be able to win the late game. So we have this turnaround teamfight secured by Damwon Kia. That was initiated by Canyon's flank play. Wasn't it a difficult angle to try? I just like said, I'll just go for a flank and trust me. And thankfully I was able to find Jinx in the back line. So it was really good. You did see that Warrior, the sweeper, which means the opponent now knows your location as well. How are you able to make that decision to flash over the wall and open teamfight? That was like do or die sink or swim situation, you know, that was the only way for us to win the teamfight. And that decisive play brought victory to Damwon Kia. Tomorrow it's gonna be Gen.G versus T1, the second match of the playoff round 2. Who do you think will make it to the finals? We have beaten Gen.G in the spring split once, so I wanna find a new kind of prey, T1. Fighting. Juan, what about you? I also have some good friends in T1, also in Gen.G, you know. And I have more in Gen.G, so I would like to face off my friends at the finals, so Gen.G fighting. What about you, Canyon? I just want to have a really good one. 3-2, 5 games, a very good and entertaining series. I don't care who wins. And Damwon Kia, what's your mindset heading into the LCK finals 3 times in a row? Fighting from Showmaker. A relay of fighting. What about you, Canyon? The last very cute fighting from Canyon. Showmaker, pretty unhappy about Kenyon's low energy fighting, but still, that's a wrap for the Showmaker Con Kenyon POD interview. And now this is the final list for the LCK finals, and I'm gonna hand it over to our casters. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ji-sun, for the translation of the interview, and I owe everyone a huge apology. Unfortunately, with the fact... Oh, we are going to check out the play of the day, but while we're having a look at the play of the day, I do need to throw out an apology. T1 have not qualified yet. They got less championship points than usual from Spring. That's just the change that has happened. So therefore, they do need to win tomorrow to guarantee Worlds. Otherwise, they will go down into the gauntlet and have to win at least one best of 5. To get themselves there. So big apologies, guys. I'll also tweet that one out in case anyone stopped watching after the game finished.
It's all good. It's a big change this year, and I also was under that impression as well.
Custom math, dude. Like, why do I do my own mathematics? I should never do it. It's an absolute disaster. So big apologies to everyone. Thanks so much. There is a Reddit thread out there, so hopefully that is getting the correct information.
Look at this bracket. Look at this potential that we have. We have one of the sickest series that you could ever ask for in a semifinals between Gen.G and T1. So a bunch of good games happening that day, by the way, internationally around the world.
Yep.
But either final is amazing. T1's redemption story for the whole year finally hits a strong point here, and they might actually come to a head in the grand finals here. They could take the whole thing. Gen.G versus Damwon Kia rematch. I take either of those finals. Both of them are amazing.
Yeah, I don't think it matters. I think if Khan gets his wish and faces off against Gen.G, it should be a bit... Let's hope that it's better than in Spring, but if Damwon Kia wins it as decisively as they did against Nongshim here, then that's a great look heading towards Worlds. But if it's a banger of a series, That's certainly going to be exciting as well. Imagine, you know, T1 versus ㅣ2021 Kia goes to 5 games, something like that. Oh my goodness.
Break the internet.
That would be absolutely fantastic, but I don't really mind. I just want it to be as many games as possible. Of course, that is going to be next weekend, but we still do have that next semi-final coming up tomorrow. I am imagining that it's going to be a bloodbath. I don't think it's going to be a 3-0 again this time around, but that's all we have for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow for more of the LCK playoffs. Good night.
Standing on the edge of this big love, I'm not looking down, baby, I'm ready to jump.
와, 한타로 망할게요. 한타로 간다.